Mouth.
Butt.
Voice.
Chest.
Eyes.
You said that.
Meant it.
You swear you don't want anything more from me other than sex?
You swear you don't want anything more from me? Why you girls get... What are you doing?
I'm pulling up.
We could be friends with benefits. Is it good that we getting this? Witness this. Long stroke, baby, digging this. Feel it, bitch. Intricate flow, stripping this. Take a sip. I can take you on a mini trip. Nightcap. Nice ass, nice tits, girl, I like that. Throw that ass back, girl, let me clap that. Vibrate the whole room when I smack that. Goddamn, do the truth, bring that ass back. Bonafide pleasure, girl. Thinking every measure, girl. Take it to a better world. Hurricane, beat the name. Rock it like a hurricane. Never lane, beat it like a frame. When I do my thing, off the chain. Liquor in my vein. Now me switching lanes. Hit the Somerset, rob everything. Come on, and kill this love, make it limitless. Baby girl is into this. Feel the shit. We can be friends with benefits. Let me tell you what the benefits. We can be friends with benefits. Let me tell you what the benefits. We can be friends with benefits. Going 6 months into this, hit a lick. She my trap queen, where we go flip a brick. East side, west side, we be in this bitch. Detroit murder mitten, what we represent. My girl down the ride, she a bad bitch. Revolutionary shit, she a blast quick. Head back to the hood, count the bag, bitch. Think I'm falling in love with this madness. Hold up, wait a minute. Emotions in it, and I think I'm fucking tripping. Look me in my eyes, and she said she fucking did it. Let's put our mind together, then start a fucking business. We fall like a motherfucker, ride through the city like. After that, she ride my dick like a motorbike digging this. Benefits is limitless, baby girl is into this. Feel the shit, we can be friends with benefits. Let me tell you what the benefits. We can be friends with benefits.
Okay. That's enough of the tennis.
What's wrong with the couch? It's less emotional.
The bedroom is better light. And since we're just friends, I don't have to be insecure about my body.
Come on. Hey, you're beautiful. There's nothing to be insecure about.
You see, that is way too emotional.
Try to weigh 100 bowls, that shit broke the scale. If I get locked up, no a nigga gon' make bail. Free my nigga ride, that nigga locked up in hell. 100 straps, 100 max, the bitches sit up on my lap. Round, I took your hoe, she made it clap. No CJ, he get them racks, I double back. Serve a fiend every day, bitch it's a fact. Run it up like every day, sliding in the coupe. Yo, be sucking dick and shorty say that I'm the truth. Big 7 alley boys, you know we get the loose. Shaq Diesel with the 40, they tell you don't fucking do.
Hated pick a clothes, so I had got my cake up. They was hating on the champ, so I had got my weight up. No, I'm not, I'm a free man, I'm a free man. Me and Shorty just met, and I spent 3 bands up. Swerving in the Tesla while she doing her makeup. And she hate fucking with me, cause she know I'm a player. Ain't no trauma, gon' spray on my niggas out to the AM. We wanted everything, give a fuck about Uncle Sam. And if a nigga run up on CJ, he getting these hands. We ain't fucking with no rats, some niggas taking a stand. And plus we hanging up the phone if it ain't about them bands. You ain't fucking with us now, you don't get second chance. But I just met this bitch and I spit 3 bands. Sliding in the jack, she got her hand up in my pants. Shorty fuck with C and a friend, she fuck with Champ. CJ running circles, run these niggas doing laps. Tired of fucking with niggas, all they do is cap. And I do this for the city, put them on the map. CJ started to break a dope, I hope you don't relapse. Know you fucking with him, then you know it's double tap. My side bitch crazy, my main bitch lazy. My other bitch said she wanna fuck me on the daily. I slide in that Mercedes, she wanna have my baby. And money been the only thing up on my mind lately. Hated pick a clothes, so I had got my cake up. They was hating on the champ, so I had got my weight up. No, I'm not, I'm a free man, I'm a free man. Me and Shorty just met, and I spent 3 bands up. Yeah.
Don't tell me about me. Stop telling me about me. God telling me about me. Stop telling me about me. Stop telling me about me. I don't need you to tell me about me.
And welcome back, y'all, to another episode on the JVJ Network. I am your host tonight. Let's talk with JVJ Jordan, man. I hope everybody doing all right tonight. I hope everybody doing good. Man, we're going to get into something that's really near and dear to my heart. And it's one of the bigger questions that I like to ask Americans on the regular, because I believe that this is all a game, and a lot of us are not too wise about how to play it. And we're getting played like a little fiddle every day. Honest opinion, not trying to be mean. What I'm talking about is things that go on in this country, in the United States. That's what I'm speaking about, y'all. There's a lot of things that are messed up, and while we're the average day Americans out here arguing, especially around this time of the year where we have, well, a couple of years, when we have presidential elections, we have this side saying it's that side, we have that side saying it's this side, or either sides are saying, yeah, some other people, that's your problem for what's going on in the country, why you can't get ahead, why you can't seem to build up wealth, why you seem to be living paycheck to paycheck. Well, I'm going to show you a few things how this system is kind of rigged against us in the grand scheme of things. Not trying to make excuses, just the simple facts of life, what's actually going on, and try to direct some of that anger that some of us have, this misplaced anger. I'm going to try to help you direct it to the right people. I'm just try my best to. But if y'all are ready to rock out, I'm ready to rock out. Once again, man, make sure y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn the noties on. I know a lot of people still haven't watched all the video. Watch the video over on my channel. Go turn the noties on for the JVJ Network so you get one every time we popping something out, because guess what? It's every day. Same thing we're doing over on Let's Talk, we're doing it over here. But yeah, we're going to jump into this video, y'all. And I want y'all to just pay attention. I want y'all to listen carefully to what these people are actually saying. They get paid to research this stuff, and it's very astounding once you finally hear it. So without further ado, y'all, let's get it.
We got told we had to move in a hurry.
Times of distress, I have a tendency to be rather sarcastic because I always say I'd rather laugh than cry. And that was kind of one of those situations where you're literally throwing all your belongings to the street at one time. You're not being evicted, and your wife's not kicking you out of the house.
Maurice Gutierrez lives in Naples, Florida. His house flooded in 2022 when Hurricane Ian made landfall on the southwest coast of Florida.
One of the strongest September hurricanes to strike the U.S. in decades.
Significant storm, again, a Category 4.
The street will never be the same. You know, trees gone, neighbors gone, homes are gone. And here I am today rebuilding because I won't move. I love this place.
A year later, Maurice got a notice from his insurance company. They were doubling his premium to $7,500 a year. The year after that, it was up to a staggering $9,000 a year.
Now, on a fixed income retiree, that's not chump change.
So Maurice decided to drop his wind coverage. Now he's one of hundreds of thousands of Floridians that are going bare. That means they're living with little to no homeowners insurance, in a state that is set to have a record hurricane season this year. And what's going on in Florida under Governor Ron DeSantis is a warning. This is what happens when a government capitulates entirely to the insurance lobby. We went to Florida to talk to other homeowners like Maurice. We found out that residents are being priced out of coastal communities, and sketchy insurance companies are thriving under DeSantis' policies.
It's essentially trickle-down economics, but for insurance companies.
And the housing insurance crisis isn't just a problem in Florida.
People around the Bay and across the state are now being told their homeowner insurance policies will not be renewed.
State Farm says they're discontinuing coverage for some customers.
Several major carriers are pulling out of Iowa and other states.
Experts warn the collapse in the homeowners insurance industry could take down the entire housing market with it.
Should those systems start to collapse, or should that business model collapse, it could take down the entire American economy with it. It could take down the global economy.
The water came up to this line right here. At first, it's like, it can't get much worse. It can't get much worse. And then it's like, oh my God, when is it going to stop?
Maurice has lived in Florida for most of his life.
Raised in Miami, so hurricanes to us are, as far as I'm concerned, a weather event. You know it's coming. You prepare. You don't get complacent, but you get used to them.
Nearly 1 out of 5 Floridians is like Maurice. They've been forced to cut back or go without insurance.
That option allows me to manage my own risk.
Okay, let's back up and talk about how insurance actually works. Insurance companies determine premiums for you based on risk assessment. Generally speaking, the higher the risk, the higher your premium goes. They assess risk factors like the quality of building materials in your house, your neighborhood, what kind of dog breed you own, and of course, natural disasters.
So, if you have a wildfire risk in California and a hurricane risk in Florida, those two things are supposed to balance themselves out.
But as the planet warms and natural disasters increase, the insurance business model hasn't been keeping up.
And what's happening is that the risks of some of those perils, of climate-driven perils in particular, are increasing so much that the insurance companies are having a difficult time making the profit that they've always expected that they will make.
In response, major national carriers are raising rates and cutting policies. Today, 12% of people in the United States don't have homeowners insurance. Up the coast in Fort Myers, Florida, is Priscilla O'Hara.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
She stated,
Now I'm gonna stop right here for a second because I know some people that come around and be like, well, 12% of them U.S. Americans, that's not really a lot. Well, it's a lot when you think about the number of people that are actually homeowners. It's not a lot of people that own homes like they used to. It used to be majority of Americans own homes. Now it's less than 50% of Americans own homes. And 12% of them don't even have insurance because the insurance rates are going up like crazy because of natural disasters. Now, I know some people will say, well, we have those people that's like, oh, there's no such thing as this climate changing and all this other stuff, global, any of this stuff. Well, we have people in politics saying that, but we have insurance companies moving a certain type of way because of that. So who are you going to trust more? The insurance company that's showing you that they believe in this and they're actually making changes, kicking people off of policies, raising people rates? Or are you going to listen to the people up in Congress that don't do their job and let them tell you that it's not real while you see your house getting knocked down? We're just going to go through a few of these people on here that are experiencing some crap because it's really not even about the government right now. It's going to slowly get there, but it's about this insurance company right now. But here we got Mr. Uncanny Rebranded up in the building. What's the word, Thunderbird? I cannot hear you going in and out. I think you got like a little lag or some shit. Hey, go out and come back in. Go out and come back in. Maybe that'll fix it. Yeah, because I think you got like a lag or something. All right, we're going to get him back in here, y'all. We're going to get him back in here. I'm going to play a little bit. But actually, I'm not going to play a little bit. I'll wait for him. We really need to be cognitive of this, y'all. These insurance companies, like, first off, having homeowner insurance, you better have it. If you own your home, you better have it because any little thing can happen. But one of the things I've noticed is when certain shit happens, like especially people down there in Florida, they'll get hurricane coverage, but it doesn't cover the water or it doesn't cover the wind. And they get F that way. Insurance companies won't cover those policies. But we're talking about people about to get kicked off. But here we go. We got Uncanny back in here. Say something.
Uncanny Rebranded.
Okay, yeah, you sound good now.
Okay, I can tell you about Florida. I can tell you straight up that I had to move out of Florida because of the fact that the rent was so high in Miami. Miami is now, it used to be LA, New York, or whatever. And it used to be saying Miami is the third highest city with the most rent. So yeah, I believe everything that's been going on.
Damn, Kenny, you going in and out. Shit.
Of Florida is how. So what did you hear?
I heard you say you lived in Miami. You know about the rents going up, like how it used to be. The cost of living was like California, New York, and Miami. That's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. And that's pretty much like what happened why I had to move out because of the high rent. For like, I don't know how much it is in your city, but in Cleveland to get like a 3-bedroom house, I'm talking about a house to rent, is around $1,200, $1,100. That's not bad. But in Miami, it's like $3,500, $4,000.
I can believe it.
Yeah, so but we're rebranding, right? I mean, you rebranded, so I gotta rebrand too.
Yep. Shit crazy, man.
All right, so I got some
Go ahead.
I got this, right? I don't know if you can read it. Can you read that?
Nah, it's kind of small, but it looks like it got some pineapples and other fruit on there.
Yeah, it's a purple corn drink You can get it at your local supermarket, which they sell Spanish products. It's called Chicha Morada. It's Peruvian. I thought we were rebranding, bro.
Oh my God. It's not the same thing, Young Kenny. It's not the same thing at all. If y'all know what he talking about, don't worry about it.
And then it's Inca Cola. That's another Peruvian drink. It's very famous. I'm rebranding like Jay. Jay rebranded, so I rebranded too.
This is terrible.
No, but seriously, all jokes aside, yes, it is getting very expensive in this city. There is a real estate kind of like hustle going on. It just feels like they're making it very difficult for people to raise families or try to have home ownership. And I think they just want to keep people in debt. That's why a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. I am an example of it, but I somehow am trying to get out of that. So I really believe that, Jay. Like, it's seriously, something's wrong. Like, I mean, I don't want everybody to be rich or entrepreneurs, but it should be where we all can at least live beyond our a little bit of means, like, that's why I like, even with traveling in countries like the UK, they go off for a month paid vacation, you know what I mean? And over here is like they just want to like pound us and make us like work like slaves, and we only get like a week off. And it's like, that's why the people from the UK or like the other country that from Europe is more happier than us. They have better healthcare. They have 4-day work weeks, 3-day off.
But this gonna piss you off, not just this video, because I got a few of them that I want to cover, and I'm gonna show some people the things that are really going on around you. Because I hear a lot of people complaining about this, complaining about that. I want them to angle that gun to the right target and get it off the wrong people. And I want you to pay close attention. I know you're gonna be in and out throughout, but I want you to watch this shit, because right now we're covering the insurance companies and what they did down there in Florida. That's what this mainly is gonna be about. But I got some other shit I want y'all to see, because this is unacceptable. But for some reason, for all these Americans that are pissed off about bad things happening or unfortunate things happening, they never seem to call out the person that's actually doing it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to show who they are, and we're going to call their ass out. Shout out to Big Op up in the building. He said, chill. But there you go. Let's keep rocking.
I'm going to let him be your co-host. I got to go.
All right, man.
My son and I stood at the front door looking out the glass window and watched the rivers right over there. Watched the water coming up, and here it's coming. Nothing we could do. Here it's coming. And then the wind changed in about 10 feet from the house, and back out it went.
Her roof was damaged, but when she filed the claim, her insurer State Farm told her that her policy didn't cover wind.
I don't think we really realized that we were not covered for wind damage. Did not know that. I mean, hurricanes are wind.
The next year, State Farm dropped her. They said her house, which was built in 1976, was too old to insure.
I've been with them for 40 years, probably. It was a total shock, yeah. Oh, okay, this goes back. Well, he paid this in September of 2022, $881. So, I mean, they had our premiums all those years, went in their bank account.
State Farm ended that.
Think about that, y'all. This lady house got wrecked in a hurricane. And I understand. I know some people at the top that want to be on that. Well, you better read it a little bit better. When somebody goes out and gets hurricane coverage for their home, you would think that it was covering wind, water. You would think flying debris, things of that sort. But people have to read their policies, because these people are not here to help you. They're here to get as much money out of you without giving out anything. So they didn't cover this lady, and they kicked her off the policy. She been with them for 20-some years. Her husband was paying on that shit. Think about this, y'all. Kicked her off. You heard about the other man. He's retired. He couldn't. All right, y'all.
That year with a net worth of $131 billion.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The roof damage cost her over $6,000, which she paid out of pocket.
Okay, you can tell a little bit. There's a little different shade. It cost us $6,292 to have it replaced.
Priscilla shopped around, but she couldn't find an insurer that she trusted.
I want a company that I know something about, not some company I've never heard of before.
That seems smart.
Yeah. If we had that roof damage, I could do it again, I guess. Don't want to, but I guess I could.
So what exactly happens to someone if they don't have insurance?
If you don't have insurance for your home, you might lose your mortgage or you might face higher mortgage rates. And worse, if you have a disaster and your home is uninsured, then you lose the value of that home or you face that out-of-pocket cost to repair that house, which could be hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. So it can be absolutely bankrupting.
Priscilla and Maurice have both paid off their homes. But if you have a mortgage, you have to have homeowners insurance. So for people who can't find insurance, Florida has something unique, a state-run, not-for-profit backstop that is actually the #1 insurer in the state.
Citizens Property Insurance.
Citizens Property Insurance, a state-run insurer called Citizens Insurance.
Citizens Property Insurance was established in 2002, 10 years after Hurricane Andrew hit Miami.
It's absolutely for sure, no question about it. It is going to happen tonight.
Hurricane Andrew was, at the time, the costliest hurricane in Florida's history, and it hit the insurance industry hard.
And the state was facing the prospects of incredibly precipitous economic decline, and they wanted to avoid that.
In 1992, Miami was a city of almost 2 million people. Lawmakers didn't want to see the city decline. So in 1993, they held an emergency legislative session and created what would later become Citizens Insurance.
And it was wildly successful. It did provide insurance to people who couldn't buy it on the commercial market. But more importantly, it reversed the flow of people leaving the state. It canceled the possibility of that exodus, and it led to enormous growth.
Citizens was supposed to be the insurer of last resort, but then the state was hit with a record hurricane season in 2004 and again in 2005. As more parts of Florida became uninsurable, Citizens expanded to protect more homeowners. Now, 1.2 million Florida residents have public instead of private insurance. This backstop is important.
If you start to lose insurance in a community, then the home values will drop as a result of that. And as those home values drop, you'll see people start to move away from that community and the tax base decreases. And as the tax base decreases, you have less money for schools, you have less money for infrastructure and fixing potholes in roads and so on. And you start to see this sort of spiral of decline, this negative momentum.
A study from the Environmental Defense Fund calculated where the
Got to stop right here for a second for the people that want to continue to say that schools are not funded off of these property taxes. What are we talking about right now, y'all? Florida was hit with devastating hurricanes, y'all. And the state had to do something about it because they were losing people. People were going to leave the state and flood out because hurricanes damaging my stuff. I can't afford insurance. I can't pay this. So what did the state do? They came up with their own insurance plan that covered people that couldn't get their own private insurance. You see the first thing on the list, less money for schools. That's because property tax. People not living in them homes, people not paying the property tax on them homes. So what do? They were missing, the state was going to miss out on money. So what? The state tried to come up with a program to keep people to stay in the state. Not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. Think about it, y'all. They didn't want to miss out on their money, so they did something for the citizens. That's how this shit's supposed to work, not the other way around. But let's keep going.
Sort of spiral of decline, this negative momentum.
A study from the Environmental Defense Fund calculated where the most money could be lost in tax revenue due just to increased risks of flooding. Homes in coastal Florida, they determined, could be overvalued by as much as $10 billion a year. And this whole video, you're thinking, well, luckily I don't live in Florida. Here's the national map. But the public model has a major flaw.
It's put more people in the path of risk, so it's increased their economic vulnerability. But it's also affected the way Americans vote. It's affected climate policy on a state level and on a federal level because constituents are not expressing urgency to enact policy to address climate change, to lower those risks, because they don't feel those risks.
None of this has stopped people from moving to the coasts. In 2023, a year after Hurricane Ian's devastation, Lee County's population still grew. But the people who have been able to rebuild and afford their homes has changed. Fort Myers Beach is a coastal island just west of Fort Myers. It's been a popular resort town and home for retirees since the 1950s. Ian was the costliest hurricane to ever hit Florida. The Category 4 storm did $112 billion in damage, and Fort Myers Beach was one of the hardest hit. A third of the homes on the island were destroyed. But the town is rebuilding. Everywhere you look, there are cranes and scaffolding and large RVs where former residents are staying. We met with Lori Curry, a real estate agent who has sold property on the island since 2004.
I think when you drive here, you see the obvious changes from its original days when it was mainly a retirement community and a little less affordable for some of the original owners.
Lori says a lot of the smaller retiree homes that were built in the 50s and 60s were damaged, and they're being replaced by rentals bought by wealthy investors.
The people that came and bought at a discounted price, they knew what they were doing.
Many former residents struggle to rebuild. A report from Bloomberg said the building on Fort Myers Beach, especially with the new federal and state building codes, can easily start at $1 million. 8 out of 10 homes sold the first year after Ian were purchased with cash. It turned out that Lori and her husband had their own fight with their insurance company after Hurricane Ian.
They canceled us.
Yeah.
They canceled. Yeah, they said they weren't going to, and then they did.
They'd had roof damage, and initially their insurer Edison wouldn't cover it. They ended up taking the company to court.
They fought us tooth and nail the whole way. So that's the mentality of the insurance companies. You know, they like to take your money, but they don't like to pay it off when there's a risk involved.
Lori and Ron say they were lucky. Because they had an attorney, they were able to get a new roof, and the cost of the attorney and public assessor was covered by Edison.
And that's the problem, is some people are very reluctant and reticent, and they're still suffering.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of foreclosures. They're walking away.
So Fort Myers Beach is an extreme example, but Florida is in the middle of a housing crisis, and rising prices are impacting renters and first-time homebuyers the most.
We have been in an affordable housing crisis for years in Florida. The insurance crisis is making it far worse.
You might think the role of the public option, citizens, would be to keep these costs down, but there's a problem with that. Since the creation of Citizens Property Insurance, the insurance lobby has pushed to keep rates high.
The emphasis should always be to try to get those people into the market where they're paying the full rate and not counting on their neighbors to pay part of the tab for them.
The state initially required that Citizens be non-competitive, even as insurance companies kept raising rates more and more.
The insurance industry used to love Citizens, right? They love the idea of a last resort insurer where they can just sort of like leave the dregs, the most risky and unprofitable claims off on the public while doing the rest of the stuff themselves.
In 2007, after those record hurricane years, the state changed the rules. Citizens didn't have to be more expensive than private carriers.
Right now, these private companies are taking on all the safe risks where they are assured a profit and passing all the bad risk onto the state via Citizens Property Insurance Company.
The insurance industry hated that.
If you're in South Florida and you can get Citizens coverage at 30 to 40% less than the private market, you're going to do that.
In 2022, Ron DeSantis caved to the insurance lobby.
And we have to create an environment where people want to come in and compete for your business. You can't dump everybody on Citizens Property Insurance.
The Florida legislature passed a series of bills that would overhaul insurance law. And Ron DeSantis started depopulating Citizens Insurance. The goal was to kick people off of the insurer of last resort and get them back into the private market. But with so many major insurers denying coverage, customers are stuck with companies that are a lot more risky.
Yeah, particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, large national insurers, the kind that you would recognize from commercials,
We are farmers, bum, 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 bum,
have pulled way back for the most part.
And in their place are companies called domestics.
These are smaller in-state companies that tend to have far fewer resources. They aren't nearly as well capitalized. They're heavily reliant on reinsurance, which is insurance they buy for themselves.
DeSantis is trying to get new companies into the state, but he isn't being very discerning. Enter Slide Insurance, a startup founded by one of the lawyers for Enron. Yes, that Enron.
I knew that there were going to be mass insolvencies in Florida. So we raised a tremendous amount of capital to really kind of capitalize on market opportunities and provide new solutions to the homeowners.
The CEO of Slide Insurance, Bruce Lucas, was thrilled about DeSantis' changes to insurance laws. The new bills made it harder for customers to sue insurers over unpaid claims and created a bigger fund of reinsurance to protect insurers. That's the insurance for insurers. And most important, it handed Slide Insurance more customers. The Washington Post reported that businesses like Slide can cherry pick the policies they want, choose the properties that have the lowest amount of risk, and reject the ones in flood or hurricane-prone areas. Lucas laid it all out on a podcast called the insurance guys.
You get to cherry pick the policies.
Correct.
You are underwriting and cherry picking the best policies, leaving kind of the worst ones there.
Sometimes policyholders don't even know they're being pushed off of their plans. As long as the new policy is less than 20% more than Citizens premium, they can be forced off of their policy.
You send out these notices and it gets mixed in with everybody's junk mail. In the trash can it goes. Next thing you know, you've got 200,000 customers.
Last year, Slide was approved to take over.
I want y'all to hear this devious shit that they're doing. And this guy used to work for Enron, so that man got some money. He got some money in his pocket. He had a bunch of rich investors to get together. They raised up some capital so they can go down there and buy some of these homes, buy some of these properties, get into the insurance game down there, thanks to Ron DeSantis, because these people didn't want to, like the one guy said, your fellow neighbors shouldn't be having to foot the bill for you to help pay insurance. I wonder when they're going to actually know. They already started doing that. They want to do that with schools. Your neighbors shouldn't have to help pay for the schools. Even if they ain't got no kids, they shouldn't have to pay for the schools. You should do that on your own. And this is this mindset where they know the cost of living is exorbitant right now, y'all. But wages are not the same. Wages have not kept up with inflation. But they want to keep raising the price of everything. People don't have the resources to actually get all the things they need. And the state did a good thing by coming up with that insurance. But now the state doesn't want to have to pull money for that because they want to spend money elsewhere. He caved to the insurance companies. So he's like, nope, we're going to kick them off of Citizens. So now they can't come to us and get insurance. Now they're going to have to go back to the private. We're kicking people off because we don't want to pay for it. So we're going to send them back to the private insurers. And these people are cherry picking who can get insured and who can't get insured. That's not a free market. That's not a free market at all, y'all. That's not. For all the people that think it is, I'm trying to tell you, it's not. Let's keep going though.
For 250,000 policies from Citizens.
The bad news, it's about 4.3 times what I was quoted for Citizens.
The premium for the same level of coverage from Slide was $14,684.
They've also swooped in to buy.
I want y'all to see that number right there. Think about this. We took him off of Citizens because he can afford regular insurance, and his insurance ballooned that much. Think about that. He was paying $3,000 pretty much a month for his whole policy was probably $3,000. His shit went up to 14. Who do you think that benefited? The insurance company. That's what they're saying when they said Ron sold out the Citizens to the motherfucking insurance company. That's not helping anybody. That's not helping anybody. What if somebody can't pay that and you get another hurricane to come through there? So now they just left with nothing. But they've been paying all their taxes. Y'all still taking money out of their paycheck every time they get paid, every time they go buy some food, every time they get some gas. But they can't depend on the people that take their money to be their safety net when some shit pops off because they want to spend money elsewhere. And I wonder where they want to spend it. But let's keep going.
$4.
They've also swooped in to buy out policies from insurers that have gone bankrupt or left the state, like United Property and Casualty and Farmers Insurance.
This year, they provided a different option for me if I wanted to switch called Slide Insurance. That sounds shady.
So just how risky is Slide Insurance? They aren't a publicly traded company, so it's hard to know all their finances. In interviews, Lucas touts the fact that Demotech gives them an A rating, but the more reliable Weiss ratings gives them a D+, pointing out that they have low liquidity and capitalization. Reporter Jason Garcia thinks Citizens should be expanded.
A public nonprofit insurer does not have to earn a profit. That allows it to charge insurance that is more affordable.
And two Florida representatives agree. Republican Spencer Roach, who survived Hurricane Ian himself, and Democrat Hillary Cassell, a former litigator for insurers, both think Citizens should be available to all homeowners in the state.
Think of this as the National Flood Insurance Program, but instead of at the federal level, it's at the state level. Florida, at some point in the future, is going to embrace the idea of universal wind coverage.
But they're up against a powerful political force that doesn't want to see Citizens expand. Since 2019, when DeSantis was sworn in, the insurance industry has donated nearly $10 million to DeSantis and the Republican Party. And the bills that DeSantis has passed since have almost all been handouts to the insurance industry.
The entire...
Y'all heard that word? Not subsidies, handouts. Just hope y'all tracking.
overarching strategy that Governor Ron DeSantis and the current Florida legislature have is to help private insurance companies make money in the hopes that benefits will trickle down to consumers.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the average homeowner or renter? Florida can prove as a model for what not to do. States should provide affordable not-for-profit plans for residents that can't rely on private insurance.
It's a risk, but I think it's one well worth taking. Paradise has a price. I'm hoping to live the rest of my golden years down here. I'm not going anywhere.
And while these major insurance companies claim poverty, remember that in 2022, the CEOs of the top 10 insurance companies made a combined total of over $130 million. There's one more layer to this whole story. Climate change is increasing the likelihood of disasters that are driving up risks for insurance companies. But those same companies are literally adding fuel to the fire. Public Citizens Ann Perot writes that insurance companies, including State Farm and Allstate, have major holdings in fossil fuel companies. State Farm is also part of ALEC, the group that has lobbied against emission restrictions. And for his part, DeSantis accepted almost $3 million from donors contributing to the climate crisis in 2022. And this year, he signed a bill that weakens environmental protections and bans construction of offshore wind turbines in state waters.
What I've found is people, when they start talking about things like global warming, they typically use that as a pretext to do a bunch of left-wing things that they would want to do anyways.
This year, the United States has already experienced 19 weather events that cost more than $1 billion in recovery. We have to be honest about the impact of climate change, take efforts to fortify homes and cities, and start the work to transition to energy that doesn't use carbon.
All right. So we got a little gist about some insurance around here. You know, I hope none of y'all need that no time soon, because some people don't believe you don't need it, or they believe, yeah, it don't matter. We're trying to get some donations to our party or whatever the hell. So we're going to do whatever we got to do so, we can make this bread. But one of the things that they talked about in that video was very telling. And it's something that I know we all are dealing with. We all can see it. The cost of living, y'all, is crazy. It's crazy right now. I hear the rents that some people say, but yeah, Kenny, yeah, you was off topic. But I hear some of the rates that people tell me they pay in insurance. I mean, not insurance, but in rent, and it's ridiculous. I'm one of those people that have renter insurance. Let them raise my rate. I promise you, I won't have it no more. I won't have it no more. People are paying $1,900, $1,800, $2,200, $2,400, $2,600 in rent. And I'm talking about in my city that I stay in for one-bedroom apartments. And people are wondering about this. The American dream used to be work hard, get some money saved up, go get a loan, and get you a house, buy you a house. That used to be the dream. It's a dream that a lot of people can't get. So nowadays we have a lot of people renting. And we wonder why why rates going up so high? People want to always act like they don't want to blame nobody for that. Rates are going up high, but the wages aren't going up high. So who's going to be the people renting these apartments out? Matter of fact, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to just show it to you because all this shit irritates me. Just pointing out some of these problems that we have in this country that a lot of people want to point their finger. We know the insurance problem down there in Florida. You know who to point the finger at on that one. That's for sure. But let's go and get to this housing, y'all, because housing is another one of these big issues. Let's get it.
Investigators with the State Attorney General's office are looking at apartment rents. They're up 76% since 2016. Something is off. These 4 building rents are 12% higher than others, but they offer similar amenities. They have different landlords, so you'd think they should be competing with one another, but they weren't. The prices were allegedly being set by one entity, an algorithm owned by a company called RealPage. In fact, this was happening everywhere in the area.
That's old-fashioned price fixing using new technology.
We allege, in effect, a housing cartel.
Over 2,000 miles away, something similar is happening.
It's alleged that all of these different units, their prices were set by one single algorithm, which sounds bad.
And it could be happening in cities and states across the country. Renters have filed over 30 different lawsuits against RealPage.
We're going to talk about what all this means, how algorithms, these black boxes of data, are shaping our markets and giving an incredible amount of power to the few, and how the Department of Justice and some state attorney generals are fighting back. Because this is a story about how a few lines of code broke the American housing market.
What is RealPage?
So RealPage is a company that operates software that allows landlords to input their data into an algorithm, and then RealPage sets the prices for all of those landlords. This is actually against the law.
Attorney General Mays isn't the only one alleging this.
Our allegations are that RealPage, in combination with 14 of the largest landlords here in the District of Columbia, are effectively colluding with one another to set rents.
Across America, rent is up 20% since 2020. The Attorney Generals of Arizona and DC are suing RealPage and a host of big landlords, alleging that an algorithmic housing cartel is helping drive up prices.
I got to pause. I got to go back because that number is crazy. Since 2020, it's up how much again, buddy? Say it again.
That rents.
Across America, rent is up 20% since 2020.
20%. Have your wages gone up 20%? I want to ask people that really, have your wages gone up 20% to meet this number? How the hell do you think somebody is going to be well, first off, I don't even know how these motherfuckers are making money, but how do you justify raising the rent that much across the country when wages are not keeping up with it? So that makes you wonder, who do you want staying in this? Because clearly you're pricing out a large majority of the U.S. population. Now, you hear what they're saying. They're saying this one algorithm is kind of fixing the price. You're saying these people working in collusion. Let's see if they can give us any evidence to prove that.
The Attorney Generals of Arizona and DC are suing RealPage and a host of big landlords, alleging that an algorithmic housing cartel is helping drive up prices.
In the pre-RealPage days, landlords would compete with one another.
They played a guessing game with rent prices. Push it too high and people move, leaving landlords hunting for new tenants. It was a delicate balance, a market. And I'm not sure if it was fair, but it wasn't rigged. An algorithm helped change all of that.
We're talking about an algorithm that aggregates otherwise confidential information that the landlords have that ordinarily they would not share with their competitors.
Data like rent prices, lease expiry dates, any deals they offer to tenants.
That allows then the algorithm to spit out a pricing recommendation, all designed to keep the overall market at its highest peak.
They are not charging what the market can bear. They are controlling the market. It's leading to the exacerbation of our affordability crisis, our housing crisis here in Arizona.
If you could imagine a smoke-filled room where the landlords, the largest landlords in the District of Columbia, came together to decide what they were going to charge in rent, to share their confidential information, everybody would be able to see that that's an anti-competitive practice.
Until recently, using shared pricing algorithms like this flew under the radar. If your algorithm set prices, you just say, it's not cheating, it's a suggestion. Not anymore. Lena Khan and the FTC have said, just a suggestion, that's price fixing, no excuses. And RealPage, according to the lawsuits, they weren't even pretending the prices were suggestions.
RealPage has a system set up where the landlords who have adopted the system agree to a set of rules.
One of the rules is that RealPage gets to set rent prices. If landlords want to charge less than the digital oracle suggests, they have to justify their decision.
The justification needs to be reviewed by RealPage. RealPage can push back against the justification.
And if you push back too much, RealPage can kick the landlord out of the scheme, with one insider telling investigators. Sometimes we were happy to see customers go.
They also had a policing agent that would go out and make sure that the landlords and their leasing agents were staying in line and not deviating from the price that was being set.
This scheme, if true, has had a real tangible impact on Americans.
RealPage advertises that it's going to increase revenues 2% to 7% for the participants in the cartel.
What RealPage is telling these landlords and is doing with these landlords is, don't worry about occupancy rates anymore. It doesn't matter really how many people move out of your building. You're still going to grow your revenue over time.
How? Through these coordinated price increases.
In Phoenix alone, we've seen rent increase 76% since 2016. It is almost certain that people were evicted as a result of these price increases, and that some people were made homeless by them.
To their prospective customers, the landlords, RealPage is pretty open about all of this. You can go to their website, type in a zip code, and view a sample of what buildings are using the software, along with any corresponding price changes. We'll see, this building right here, rent is actually down about 4%. If we just zoom out a little bit, a few blocks over, this rent is actually up 4%. They used to have videos where landlords talked about how RealPage's algorithm pushed them to raise rent, but the company deleted it after the Washington Post ran a story. On investor calls, they're flat out saying the algorithm is going to recommend higher lease rates for every property. But the company goes to great lengths to train landlords to hide this scheme from renters. Landlords were coached across a variety of scenarios and told not to mention RealPage or pricing algorithms to tenants. Instead, they were supposed to say stuff like units were being priced individually. RealPage and the larger industry dispute the charges. Since the onslaught of lawsuits, RealPage has largely stayed quiet, ignoring our request for an interview. But the industry has published a paper defending itself. They make a bunch of different arguments, but it boils down to two major points. The first, sharing info doesn't mean they're teaming up. Why? Because the rental world is just too big and too messy for any sort of secret deal to stick. But that doesn't seem to stand up to scrutiny.
The RealPage algorithm is being used by nearly 90% of the apartment owners in the DMV.
RealPage controls 70% of the rental units in Phoenix, and that they control at least 50% of the market in Tucson.
90% in DC, 70% in Phoenix. That hardly seems like a fragmented rental market. And their second point, more houses, not less data sharing, is the real fix for high rents.
That's bunk. We've got apartment units all over Phoenix that aren't being rented right now because people can't afford them. The spaces are there, but people can't afford them because these landlords are setting artificially high rent via an algorithm. And that is just unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
Things are shifting. Renters are banding together in class action lawsuits. Arizona, DC, and possibly North Carolina are suing. They want to end the scheme, refund renters, and find companies like RealPage. The DOJ has started a criminal investigation into the whole thing.
I don't think this is just an Arizona-based problem. This is not the only place where algorithms are being used to set prices.
This is, to me, one of the bigger kind of issues facing kind of our economy and consumers in the next decade or so.
There's a lot of positive things that algorithms and machine learning can do for society, but there are also risks associated with it. We can't be afraid of technology. We have to lean in and learn about it and make sure that we're keeping the public safe from the abuses that can sometimes flow from misuse of technology.
All right, now we're hearing about, at least in Washington, D.C., and also out there in Phoenix, Arizona, you have one company controlling majority of the market, half of it at the least, majority of it at most, to set prices for these companies. I mean, for these individual homeowners, landlords, whatever you want to call them. And it's pricing the American citizen out because they're sharing the data. Look, if they are really and if they can prove that in court, that they were saying look, you need to set your shit at this rate, or we're not going to put you into our system. And our system is the one that gets most people coming in to rent from. So if you don't stick with this, we're gonna kick you off of this. Bro, that's a slam dunk right there. But people keep talking about a free market, a free and open market. This is not free and fair. Because it used to be, okay, well, he's renting this house. We're not going down the street to see how much he renting that house for. Well, actually, that's what we would do. But the two landlords aren't talking to each other about what you rent your shit for. I'm rent my shit for this. Okay, well, here you go. How about we both just say at this point, we both make some money. Boom, boom, boom. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's not free for nobody. That's not going to help anybody out. But we have that going on. You can see it. Just price. And I will tell anybody, just price the apartments or homes in your area, especially if you stay in a city area. Just price them. Just price them. But they talked about a lady. They talked about a lady that actually is trying to challenge this in the federal government. I want y'all to meet her. And I want y'all to see what she actually got going on right now, because we got a lot of issues going on in society, and a lot of people have things ain't trying. Some people aren't trying to get something done, but this is a lack of government doing its job. This is a government selling out the American citizen to private corporations. And you hear people say it all the time. Some people try to deny it all the time. This is pretty much what's happening. You want to say, oh, no, take the regulations away, let them just do whatever they want to do. As soon as they start doing it, they start consolidating. Because they trying to make money. What's the number one rule of a company? Make more money. Every year, over year. Here you go. I want y'all to see about this lady. Check her out.
In the world of big business, there is one woman who inspires great fear and awe.
I wanted to have you on a podcast. And Apple asked us not to do it.
The FTC's back in that role of torturing all the companies that America likes.
The business community feels that the FTC is waging a war against us, and it's time to fight back.
That woman is 34-year-old chair of the Federal Trade Commission, Lina Khan. As FTC chair, Lina Khan has become public enemy number one for the corporate establishment. But here's an interesting twist. She's also simultaneously managing to bring together an unlikely political alliance from both sides of the aisle.
You are a brilliant woman with a tremendous ability to impact how consumers are going to interface with the digital world.
One of the outstanding members of the Biden administration, and that is Lina Khan.
I look at Lina Khan as one of the few people in the Biden administration that I actually think is doing a pretty good job.
So who is Lina Khan, and what is it about this young FTC chair that makes corporate America shake in their boots, all while uniting politicians like Matt Gaetz and Bernie Sanders? Many political bureaucrats who enter government service do so with the framework of wanting to be seen as fighting on partisan terms for their respective parties. They're often looking ahead to their next cushy job rather than worrying about being strong public advocates in their current roles. Unlike public servants of the past 4 decades, Khan enters with a very different framework. She's more interested in analyzing who has too much power and who doesn't have enough. She's not fighting a partisan game. Instead, she's focused on something that she's had her eyes on since she was a teenager, waging battles against powerful, predatory multinational corporations that are exploiting working people. I was thinking back to 2004, young Lina Khan writes about Starbucks at the age of 15. When did Lina Khan get so animated around a vision of wanting to address economic justice, particularly corporate power in America?
From an early age, I was interested in being a journalist. And one reason why I wanted to be a journalist was because at their best, they hold power to account. After college, I ended up working for an organization where my job was instead to look at how different markets were structured. One of the first areas I did this work was in poultry farming. You have millions of consumers on one end, thousands of farmers on the other end, but they're connected just by a very small number of companies. And practically, that can mean that for a chicken farmer, their entire livelihood is just dependent on one company. And so that company has huge amounts of power over them. And so it was just a clear picture of how concentrated economic power, concentrated corporate power is ripe for abuse.
In 2012, Khan wrote a poignant article called Obama's Game of Chicken, in which she foretold the kind of public servant she would aspire to be, one who stood in sharp contrast to Obama's then legal enforcers at the Department of Justice. In this article, Khan was critical of Christine Varney, the head of the DOJ's antitrust division, for making compromises with power instead of taking them on in court. Varney's approach was simple, and it mirrored the cautious political approach taken by government regulators for decades. Quote, if you overreach in the courts, you will lose, and the very behaviors you are calling illegal will be validated by the court. According to Varney, the government was unlikely to win against powerful poultry producers in court, and therefore she was unwilling to wage an uphill legal battle. And she had this to say about the apparently too big to touch corporations gaining a stranglehold over our economy.
In America, we reward success. And I applaud the companies that have been very successful in the last decade, particularly the technology companies.
Like clockwork, Varney left Washington to join Cravat, a fancy corporate law firm in Manhattan. She now represents wealthy clients who are facing scrutiny from Biden's antitrust enforcers. Corporations such as Paramount, Epic Games, Imperial Sugar Company, and Illumina, to name just a few. 10 years after writing her article, Lina Khan was chosen by Joe Biden to head up the FTC and has since been making very different judgments on behalf of the public interest.
When we spot an illegal merger, we won't hesitate to act, because if we don't do our job, the American people will lose out.
By going to bat for people against predatory corporations that are extorting America, Lina Khan is animating a form of populism that transcends party lines, one that is not Democrat versus Republican, but corporate monopolists versus the people.
For most people, their day-to-day interaction with power is not necessarily with their government, but it's in our economy. And at a fundamental level, if we care about having real liberty for people, real democracy for people, we need to make sure that they're able to feel free, not just in our politics when they go to cast a vote, but also in our commercial sphere.
Khan is putting economic justice at the center of the FTC's policymaking, returning the agency to its roots of fighting monopolies and standing up against big business interests.
All the way back in 1890, you had lawmakers talking about how the railroad monopolies and the great trusts in the sugar industry and the steel industry were abusing their power in ways that was bad for workers, that was bad for farmers. And they said we need these antitrust laws to protect Americans from concentrated economic power. There have been tools on the books for a long time that our government has not used aggressively and used assertively. This administration has made clear that we are breaking from that past and from that history. And we're going to use all of the tools and authorities that we have to do our job.
And use all the...
Now, I want y'all to hear this because there's a lot of key buzzwords that a lot of politicians say a lot. Regulations will cause business owners to cut jobs because they can't make the profit that they want to make. This lady is working out of the Biden administration for the FTC to push back on that narrative. Like, nah, when y'all have unbridled control to do whatever the hell y'all want to do, and your business model always is going to be to make more money, why wouldn't you do some nefarious shit if nobody's going to say nothing to you? We need to ask that question, because I swear we walk around and act like multi-billion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar companies have the kindest heart that they really just want to serve their customer and, they really care about those people. No, they want them greenbacks. They want them greenbacks, and they won't do whatever they got to do to get more of them out of you. I'm going to let her keep going, because I'm going to show you that one company that one industry that really getting hit hard right now, and they about to get sued like a mug.
Tools they have in industry after industry. Instead of focusing on just one area of the economy to unrig, Khan has chosen to go to battle with big pharma, big oil, big ag, the military-industrial complex, giant semiconductor chip companies, housing giants, big tech, credit card companies, mega grocery chains, auto dealers, private equity firms, and on and on and on. To understand the power of these enforcement actions, let's dig a little bit deeper. Take big pharma.
The modern inhaler wasn't invented in the 1950s, but in America today, millions of Americans spend hundreds of dollars just to get an inhaler that they rely on to be able to breathe. Our team took a closer look and we realized that these inhaler companies, in some cases, had been claiming bogus patents for parts of the inhaler.
What we got going on right here, man? I know she about to get that big pharma, y'all. Y'all already know that's about to be something right here. I'm ready to hear about this inhaler thing. Had to wait for my internet to get right because I don't know why it's doing that again. Either way, though, let's keep going.
That really shouldn't have been patented. So we sent them letters challenging those patents, saying that those patents were unfairly blocking out competition, blocking out generic, cheaper options. And in response, a whole set of companies ended up delisting their patents and announcing that starting in June, they're going to cap how much any American pays for an inhaler to $35.
Pharma is hardly alone. From drug prices to junk fees, those unnecessary charges on ticket prices and airfares that seemingly come out of nowhere, Lina Khan has used her rulemaking authorities to save Americans money whenever and wherever she has the authority to do so.
Junk fees cost Americans over $90 billion a year. Money that corporations are extracting from Americans just because they can.
She's even gone after those pesky subscriptions that often keep you paying long after you stop using a service.
We've seen too many times companies make it so easy to sign up, but then when you try to cancel, you have to go in person, you have to make a phone call, but there's nobody there to pick up. And as a result, Americans end up paying tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars a month stuck in subscriptions that they no longer want.
Another way Lina Khan is making her mark, she's using antitrust to protect workers. Earlier this year, Khan instituted a rule banning non-compete agreements in employee contracts, which could raise workers' wages by nearly $300 billion per year.
Right now, workers are stuck in place because of these non-competes. And so even if they get a better job opportunity with higher wages, with better benefits, they can't actually switch jobs.
In using her litigation power, she has sued to block what could be the largest supermarket merger in U.S. history, Kroger's $24.6 billion acquisition of Albertsons.
The commission alleged that the deal would be bad for shoppers, but also would be bad for unionized workers who in the past had used the competition between Kroger and Albertsons to actually get more bargaining leverage when they were negotiating a contract.
But perhaps her biggest claim to fame is her battle with big tech, a battle she's waged since law school when she wrote a widely cited paper called Amazon's Antitrust Paradox. As the country's top antitrust enforcer, Khan has gone after Silicon Valley's biggest tech giants.
The Federal Trade Commission and 17 states are suing Amazon, claiming it operates an illegal monopoly.
Zuckerberg in court today for a hearing surrounding the FTC's antitrust suit against the company.
OpenAI is facing a new complaint filed with the FTC today over the company's popular ChatGPT product.
There is enormous opportunity here for a vibrant market, but we also see risk. We see risk of consolidation. We see risk of monopolization.
As her critics love to point out, not all of the legal battles Khan has waged have been successful. But unlike her predecessors, Khan hasn't taken a play it safe approach that worries simply about her record in court. It's about proving that there are people in government who have the courage to wage tough battles in ways that have not been seen in recent history.
People all too often are being pitted against massive corporations that have a lot of power and that feel they can use that power to bully people, to coerce people, to steal from them. And the government's supposed to be on the side of the people and enforce the laws to protect them.
Khan has been so steadfast in her approach to litigation that the FTC is now having a deterrent effect, which means that countless corporations are not even attempting to engage in mergers and acquisitions out of fear that their proposed combinations will be deemed illegal.
What we hear from senior lawyers and corporate executives is that back in the day, if they were proposing a merger, they wouldn't really think about antitrust risk until the very end, if at all. But now, antitrust is being discussed right at the beginning of when a deal is even being considered. And as a law enforcer, our goal has to be to deter illegal behavior to begin with.
All of these actions have...
So she got the company shaking in their boots about even trying to combine up. Because you've seen that's what we've been having a lot, y'all. We've been seeing a lot of consolidations, like Google buying, matter of fact, you do like Disney buying ESPN, Google buying all these little small companies. Google owns so many goddamn companies, it don't make no sense. They pretty much gonna control the internet. Facebook buying Instagram. Just putting a kind of stop to that because you're gonna try to corner the market where people have to come to you, so then you can set the market for whatever you want. And that doesn't benefit us. That benefits these companies. It helps put more money in their pocket, and it gives you less options. That's not free market. Well, I got Big Op up in the building. Sir, what's the word, Thunderbird?
Sure.
And they, I think Facebook also brought WhatsApp.
Yeah, they do own WhatsApp. Oh yeah, Google owns YouTube. I forgot about that. Google owns YouTube. I was trying to figure out who the hell
Don't talk too
bought.
much. Get us kicked off of here.
Quiet, nigga.
Quiet.
And see,
Quiet on the stage.
Kenny said, ain't that what happened with Rockefeller with his greedy ass? Oh yeah, all of them. And the sad part, we've seen this cycle time and time again over history. When these companies get too much power, they're not going to look out for the best interests of the citizen. They're not. And that's where the government's supposed to step in and regulate this. But we got too many people that want to be in their pockets. You got one of them down there where you stay, Ron the Saint, what they call him, Ron the Satan, selling out the citizens to insurance companies, buddy. That's crazy. Right? It's not surprising though. See, we got. What's it?
Yeah, because you gotta think, if say you able to make a lot of money, look successful, then you're probably gonna do it. They don't want you to be able to monopolize, but how can you say it's a free market or you able to capitalize and then it's a problem? So I mean, they're gonna make money off of it regardless. They're gonna make money off the taxes when you buy those purchases, and then they gonna come at you and get money, but they're gonna allow you still to do certain things. Like iHeartMedia has brought a lot of radio stations. Clear Channel, they brought a lot of radio stations. So they saying you can't do that. Then if that's the case, then they shouldn't be allowed to buy any radio station.
You gotta be competition out there. Yeah, got to be competition out there, but this greed is a mug. Like I'm not even gonna really knock the companies for doing what they're doing. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to make money. The problem is that our political officials, who keep on trying to blame other countries, other races of people, your next door neighbor for your problems now. These motherfuckers not doing their job, and you see how a lot of these people don't got a problem with this little young girl because she's actually calling it out. I applaud her, but let's finish it out and see what she got.
Have made Lina Khan a frequent target of the CEO class in America. Just take a look at the pages of the Wall Street Journal. In those op-ed pages, you'll find more than 100 articles attacking her in just the past few years. As of January, the Journal had run an average of one piece every 10 days attacking her. Big business has been gunning for Lina to be fired, and they pounced quickly once Kamala Harris became the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee for president.
I do think that Lina Khan is a person who is not helping America in her job and what she's doing. And so I would hope that Vice President Harris would replace her.
But I will say Jonathan Kennedy, Attorney General, he goes, Khan goes, these people go.
A number of prominent Democrats have been lobbying Harris to drop people like Lina Khan. Do you think that's going to happen? And would you lobby for that?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
Yeah, I think she's a dope.
Still, Khan remains undeterred. You've got a whole bunch of conservative actors who want to raise a fuss because, quite frankly, they seem to know that the things that you are doing impact bottom lines and affect their power. Can you be bullied?
Absolutely not. This is a job that Congress has given us. And it's no surprise that when you try to enforce the anti-monopoly laws assertively and in a way that's faithful to what Congress told us to do, monopolies are going to fight back.
Lina Khan is revamping antitrust and reminding the people who the FTC was created to fight for and against. She speaks softly while carrying a big stick. With her courage and dedication, Khan has put forth a model for how government officials should use their time and authority while they're serving in public office.
I mean, the problems that Americans are facing in their day-to-day lives are so urgent, are so painful, and we really owe it to them to use everything we have to try to fight for them and protect them when the law is on their side.
All right, so here you go. Make sure you keep your eyes open, y'all. Keep your eyes open for everybody that, especially we coming up on these debates and things of that sort. Make sure you keep your eyes open to the people that are trying to criticize this lady and trying to get this lady out of her job. Because then you got to ask, are you giving them to pussy? Are you giving these corporations to pussy? Are you getting a kickback from them getting over on American citizens? You really got to look at it, because she actually is in there doing exactly what that job is supposed to do. Protecting the American citizens from these companies trying to monopolize and take advantage of you by price gouging you and doing other things. So I want people to keep their eyes open. But you remember, did you see in there when she was talking about chicken, right? It's all they were talking about chicken, and she's waging a war against the chicken industry. You see that?
A little bit of.
Well, here you go. I'm about to show y'all something, because I don't think a lot of people know this. They said that when COVID hit, it drove up the price of a lot of things. And the reason that the prices really haven't came down yet is because of inflation, the cost of goods and all this woo stuff. Well, would y'all believe me if I told y'all that's straight bullshit? Well, if you don't believe me, check it out.
This is probably one of the top 5 food scandals of the 21st century, and we can't underplay it. People need to go to jail. People need to go to jail for this.
Hold on. Let's start at the beginning. Right here, tucked away in a nondescript office building, right across from a doctor's office, lies the heart of what could be one of the most significant conspiracies in American business history. It's home to AgriStats, a data company that built a network used by the nation's largest meat companies. And inside that network, America's meat barons share secret data. It's alleged that AgriStats organizes and then launders that information across the industry. Companies weaponize it, restricting output, manipulating the market, ultimately raising your prices. All for profit. This video is about that scheme, how something as mundane as data reshaped the American food landscape, siphoning billions from consumers, and how the Biden administration and 4 attorneys general are finally fighting back.
We're at the state capital of Minnesota, where Attorney General Keith Ellison has his offices. He's leading the lawsuit against AgriStats. Attorney General Ellison, thanks for joining us today.
Really good to be with you. Thank you.
What does this complaint allege?
It alleges that under the Sherman Act, you can't share critical information that would have a tendency to reduce competitiveness and competition. They're essentially sharing information in a way that violates Section 1 of the Sherman Act, which prohibits things like conspiracies, collaboration, collusion, things like that.
AgriStats is the heart.
Does this sound a little bit familiar when it came down to the housing that they were talking about, sharing data so they can keep the prices high? Sounds a little familiar. Okay, let's keep going. I'm sorry.
Heartbeat of the meat industry. It tracks everything: product prices, the cost to raise an animal, worker wages, and market projections. This info is then turned into reports bought by companies that effectively control all of the chicken, turkey, and pork markets. Tyson, Hormel, and Cargill. They use these insights to raise prices and limit supply, driving up costs for everyone else. But profits for the industry, they go up.
You get information that'll allow you to figure out how to maximize your profit without having to take any chances. Last time I heard capitalism and free markets were all about risk taking, right? This is a risk-free endeavor because you know what your competitors paying for labor, inputs, how many chicks they got, because you have the report right in front of you.
So those are the allegations, and admittedly, the whole thing is kind of boring. It's data. How bad can it be? To find out, we talked to someone who would know. He's Earl Schweizer, a former vice president of Whole Foods who helped lead the firm's rise.
This is a de facto cartel. I mean, this is a racket.
Here's how it worked.
So for each item in the grocery store, whether it be chicken thighs or chicken wings, AgriStats, they create a report.
The report outlines the price the company charged, the national average of what its competitors charged, and the top quartile.
In fact, it goes deeper than that.
It tells meat processors where their price ranks nationally, then the gap between what they're charging and the national average, and the gap between that and the top 25%.
But I think most importantly, you can actually see the economic impact dollars,
or how much money the company is leaving behind.
The way the data was set up was an incentive for them to raise prices. Like, you have to catch up to the market here. Why are you underselling? You're making us all look bad. Once all these suppliers knew what they were each selling and what they were selling for, it's really just a matter of determining what they wanted to be selling it for.
It's important to note that the reports that AgriStats produces, they aren't your typical grocery data. The industry calls that syndicated data.
So syndicated data is like a really good test preparation service. It helps you see what trends are. You're getting boiled down top line reports. AgriStats is just an open book test. It's like you're just essentially giving them the answers. It's night and day. They stole money from the public and they took food off people's tables.
Just 20 miles from here, Cargill was leveraging AgriStats data. In 2013, they charged slightly less than the AgriStats average for turkey. When they found out, they started charging more. By 2016, they had surged above it. It's alleged that AgriStats didn't just provide the information, they actively helped their subscribers interpret it. According to discovered emails, in 2016, AgriStats consultants told Cargill that at Walmart, it was charging 20 cents more for ground turkey than its primary competitor, but could presumably charge more because it was 11 cents less than another. At one big distributor, the same consultant told Cargill they were 45 cents cheaper than 2 rivals. Cargill even had a presentation showing the goal of the whole thing, boosting industry-wide prices. JBS did the same thing. AgriStats reports show they were charging less than their competitors for pork. What do? They hike up prices on at least 10 products. Everyone followed suit. The outcome? Pork profit margins soared 50% across the industry. There's more. Tyson, Sanderson Farms, Hormel. Think of a meat company. They're probably one of the 40 listed as a co-conspirator. Coincidentally, Eggerichs paused selling turkey and pork reports in late 2019. Why? Well, they were faced with private antitrust litigation.
This is among the most widespread scandals in not only food pricing, but food availability that I've actually ever heard of. The reason why I say this is these price increases forced consumers to buy less food because they couldn't afford the same amount of calories that they had before these increases came through. This is a food access scandal. This is a food apartheid scandal.
Think about how evil and diabolical that is, y'all. Because I know some people might not be getting it. Like, why is that a problem? They know how much they're selling their food for. Can they just walk into Walmart and just see that their price is lower than somebody else's? No, they're giving them actual data. Your operating costs compared to their operating costs, how much they're charging for this, how much you're charging for this, how much more you can be charging for this. So once they raise those rates to match what somebody else is doing, they're going to end up raising their rates again. Then they're going to raise their rates. They're going to raise their rates. You saw the graph. They were charging underneath the average for turkey. Once they found out what their competitors were charging for it, I was like, oh, let me get some of that money too. Now the price is going above what the average was. And guess who has to pay that? Us. But they'll tell you a government shutdown, a world shutdown was the reason that your prices went up. No, they're working together. They got companies like that one they're talking about gathering all this data and selling it to them. You can know what all your buddies are doing. So now y'all can all get together and get the price of whatever good y'all are selling higher so y'all get more profits. Because most people, I know some people that are brand loyal, but then I know some people that just go in there and try to pick up something. And I think that's a majority of people that just go pick up something. Maybe you got your favorite bag of chips, your favorite brand of chips, or some shit like that. But when it comes to chicken, beef, and all that type of shit, some people just go in there and just grab something. The price don't look too high, let me grab it. Well, that price gonna keep going up if these motherfuckers keep trading data like that. You have anything on before I keep playing?
So when the wings went up, we was supposed to be concerned.
Yeah.
When the price of chicken wings went up, okay, I remember some of this. All right, keep going.
Well, you remember when the price of wings went up, they blamed that on COVID.
Yeah, I remember that.
Part. Hey, it's cold. It's cold. Shut the country down. We ain't got people working. Them people were still working at all them plants. I worked all the way through that shit. I don't work in no chicken plant or nothing like that, but I know they were one of the essential companies that got to stay open because people still needed food. And they claimed they raised the price because of low supply. The supply was still there. They're just working together to get your prices higher because they know we gonna pay it. The price ain't came down. We paid it in COVID when we weren't working. Why wouldn't we pay it right now that we are?
Eggerichs claims it merely provides anonymized benchmarking data, and the company ignored our request for an interview. But the defense seems to fall apart. Not only evidence like that previous email, but meat companies have boasted that Eggerichs reports can identify their competitors with 100% certainty. So what's next? Honestly, it's not clear. We're in uncharted waters. Regulators ignored antitrust laws for a generation, and technology, it advanced rapidly.
You know, a lot of the practices now, either in packaged food, CPG, probably wouldn't be legal if they actually enforced and updated antitrust laws.
And now we're left with the consequences.
I think that this monopoly problem, this market concentration problem is driving inflation. The goal of the lawsuit is to have fair competitive pricing. It's lower grocery prices. It's grocery prices that people can afford. That's the goal.
But again, it's tricky. Last year, a federal judge ruled in favor of meat companies and Eggerichs in a civil antitrust case. He wrote, just because Eggerichs provided a convenient form to transmit the information did not mean that Eggerichs itself joined the conspiracy. So what's different with this one?
Well, the facts are different. Here in Minnesota, the court has already found that there is a cognizable legal interest. There is a claim to be made.
It's hopeful, but it's also not guaranteed. Most of our antitrust laws were written before mass electricity, let alone streamlined information sharing. In fact, most laws were passed before the Monopoly Man even made his debut. So, are existing antitrust laws enough to handle this? Or do we need additional regulations?
The answer is yes, they are enough to handle this. And the answer is we also need to do some updating. But the Sherman Act, passed in 1890, is enough to stop Eggerichs from this illegal information sharing that it's doing.
But this case could be a start. After 40 years in the wilderness, the Biden and Harris administration and AGs like Ellison have reinvigorated antitrust enforcement. The attorneys general of DC and Arizona are fighting alleged collusion in the rental market. The DOJ has active suits against alleged monopolies Ticketmaster, Apple, Google. All this is happening just 6 years after federal enforcement was at a generational low.
I want to get the trial on this fast because I believe we got a great case. And I believe that what we're fighting for is a fair economy so that all Americans can aspire to prosperity.
And for the people that don't know why this is important that they're doing that type of work, when you spend more than 30% of your income on food, that leaves less money to do other things. Most people are spending over 33% on just their housing. Y'all saw we talked about the housing earlier, right? It's keeping Americans broke. Most people used to be able to save back in the day, but when we have all these people that seem to want to benefit from certain industries, it kind of takes away from the average citizen. They claim they're doing this because it's going to give, there's more competition, they claim, gives people more options out here and things of that sort. No, it's just to line their pockets. They're consolidating all this shit. They have these companies that are allowed to operate in the United States, sharing this information to benefit themselves. Because AgriStats is making their money. They making their money from all these big ass goddamn companies that have to buy a subscription to buy their information. And then the companies just go out there and raise the cost of shit. If you ain't getting no more money from your goddamn boss, motherfucker, you can't keep raising the price of shit. How the fuck am I supposed to feed my goddamn family? And I want y'all to see from some average Americans that actually are going through this. Like, well, people that actually decide to get on camera and talk about it. Because I know a lot of us in here know the price of shit ain't it. You go to Walmart and try to buy some food, man, you put like 6 items in your bucket, you over $100 already. That's why I shop in different places. You have anything in it before I go to this next one?
Yeah, what the hell are you buying that costs $100 and it's 6 items in your cart?
Yeah, you go in there, go in there and buy some meat. Go in there and buy some steak, some chicken. Go in there and just buy 6 different cuts of meat. You liable to run over $100.
I go to the meat store and get a $25 meat plan.
You get a meat box. Everybody getting a meat box.
and some old English with it on the side.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna hold you. When I stayed in the projects for a while, man, we used to go down there and get meat boxes. You can get a box for $25. You got bacon in there, pork chops in there, some chicken in there. I don't know if you really got steak in those for real, but you used to be able to get a few things, get you going, some cheese and shit. I know. Look, I know the struggle. But shit, American, and the fucked up shit about that is they always sell the lower quality meats in there, and American citizens shouldn't have to do that just to get by. But a lot of people are going to start having to do that even more. Like, they used to look down on other folks who are going to get a meat box deal. Now you're going to be right up in there eventually if they don't get this shit under control. You shouldn't have to worry about, can I go in here and buy groceries? That's the craziest shit in the world. These people already talk about the farmers and all them, talk about the margins are low. They don't really make a lot. But these companies that sell their food are multi-billion-dollar companies. How does that work? Now, I'm going to show you, man. There's some people. We always hear about rural America. Every time elections come around, they always talk about we're trying to help rebuild rural America, man. It's the forgotten people of America and shit. Well, they're forgotten, and it's a reason that they're forgotten, because they don't want you to tell you shit like this. Check it out.
Got a lot of money, and that Coke industry's got a lot of money, and that's their job as a corporation to make more money. They're the apex predator. If you really want to boil it down, as far as for me, I've become the prey.
Farmers in America's Corn Belt are struggling. Over the past few decades, the fertilizer they depend on to grow our food has become astronomically expensive.
There's no competition going on. And it's really, really frustrating.
Right now, just 4 companies, including Koch Industries, control more than 75% of the nitrogen fertilizer market, allowing them to drive up prices for farmers and reap record profits. And that's about to get even worse.
Koch Industries plans to buy one of the country's largest fertilizer companies.
Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand says Iowa taxpayers and Iowa farmers will suffer.
This sale could create a monopoly in the industry. The plant Koch wants to buy was built with taxpayer subsidies to create more competition and lower prices.
And now here we're in a situation where we had all these tax dollars go into building this plant, and yet now it's potentially going to be owned by the very same company that the plant existed to provide competition for.
We wanted to know how we ended up with a system that creates massive profits for multi-billion-dollar companies at the expense of the farmers who grow the food that feeds all of us, and how we might finally be able to fix it.
This is all I've ever known. is how to farm.
Harold Beach is a farmer and a board member of a co-op that sells fertilizer in northeastern Missouri. His farm has been in his family for 5 generations.
I left college and thought, well, I'll come home and farm a while till I decide what I want to do with life. And I guess I'm still trying to decide. Let's go by the anhydrous plant first, where we store it.
Anhydrous ammonia is a form of nitrogen fertilizer that's essential for many corn farmers, especially in this area. Right now, Harold's co-op gets it from Iowa Fertilizer Company, the plant Koch Industries wants to buy.
Corn's a big user of nitrogen. And so, yeah, it's very important, the pricing of it. You think, well, $50, $70 a ton of product, well, that's not too bad. But that's in addition to the other $5 or $10 an acre for all the other inputs. You add that all up, pretty soon there's nothing left. I mean, you've essentially done it for nothing.
For corn farmers, almost 40% of their operating cost is just fertilizer. But it wasn't always like this.
It used to be with fertilizer, there was lots of different places handling it. Anhydrous, we could buy it all day for $80 to $100 a ton. And now it's $700, $800 a ton.
Back in the 1980s, there were 46 companies making nitrogen fertilizer. Now there are just 17. As the industry consolidated, the price farmers pay has more than tripled, and profit margins for the biggest players in the industry doubled.
All our big corporations talk about free markets and we're just here to do the Lord's work, but no, they like a good fixed market too, just like everybody.
In 2012, the state of Iowa came up with a plan to fix this. Former Governor Terry Branstad offered an Egyptian fertilizer company huge tax incentives to build a plant in Iowa.
It's not very often that a project of this magnitude comes along.
Largest single investment of tax incentives into one project in the history of the state of Iowa.
It was the first new nitrogen fertilizer plant in the country in 25 years. And it was a real step towards creating more competition in the consolidated industry.
Iowa farmers expect to see $740 million annual savings.
The idea is we want to make sure that there's lots of competition in the fertilizer industry to keep prices low.
Since it opened in 2017, Iowa Fertilizer Company has become the 5th largest producer and a key competitor for Koch Industries.
The co-op I do business with typically can buy from that plant from $50 to $75 a ton cheaper.
But that could soon change. In December 2023, Iowa Fertilizer Company announced it was being bought by Koch Industries for $3.6 billion.
What I'm concerned about here is we had a purpose for investing these tax dollars. And that purpose was to maintain competition so that we would have lower prices for fertilizer for farmers and then lower prices for everybody for groceries. Personally, I think that taxpayers should feel like they're getting robbed in this deal.
The Kochs have long argued that the government should stay out and let the free market dictate the economy.
What's driving the inequality? It's the government picking winners and losers and stifling competition, stifling innovation, and making poor people permanently poor.
But their business.
You know the funny thing about Mr. Koch saying that? He's 100% correct. But they're doing it in his favor. He can say the truth out loud. He's just not telling you who they're actually picking as winners. You're one of... This is crazy. And if they let this shit go down in Iowa, they stupid. How the hell do you take taxpayer dollars to build a fertilizer plant? And now that fertilizer plant is going to sell to the people it was built to compete against. Make that make sense. So Koch is pretty much buying a plant that makes fertilizer for probably billions of dollars less than what it fucking would have cost them to actually put that in themselves. And they're going to consolidate the market even more. That's crazy. If they let that shit ride, well, that's going to be on y'all, man. That's crazy. Y'all, they took your tax dollars to build that plant. And now y'all they gonna let them sell the plant. Who the hell is even in charge of being able to sell the plant? That shit should be state owned. It should be state owned by the people. I bet money they just gave incentives to a private company, that company out of Egypt, and that company out of Egypt was like, yeah, we won't sell it now. 3.4 billion, man, that's a lot. We ain't have to really do a lot to buy it. I mean, to get it set up, because we got y'all tax dollars to help us build it. But now we can get out and make a decent profit. Yeah, let's go and get up out of here and sell it to them. If they let that shit go through, that's gonna be a travesty. That's embarrassing. Because the whole point of this shit is more competition, the prices are lower because people are competing for our dollars. No, they got this shit rigged. It's the opposite way around. There's no competition. They're working with each other, and they're going to make the prices go higher and higher. Anything before I keep playing? Okay, Optif ain't there, y'all. Let's keep going.
Directly benefits from a lack of competition. Koch Industries entered the fertilizer market in the early 2000s. As other companies went bankrupt, the Koch saw an opportunity to take advantage of an industry that was quickly consolidating. Over the next 2 decades, they bought up competitors, built new plants, and soon became the 3rd largest nitrogen fertilizer producer in the US. And this latest acquisition would make them the 2nd largest.
I think that that's backwards. And I think that that's a good basis for the Department of Justice to say, no, we're not going to do this.
The Koch acquisition isn't a done deal yet. That's because the Federal Trade Commission can block mergers that decrease competition. In the past few decades, they haven't done much to enforce this, but the Biden administration is changing that.
When President Biden came into office, he made it a top priority to make sure we were turning the page on what has been 40 years approach of a more hands-off way of enforcing the antitrust laws. During that period, we've seen consolidation, huge waves of mergers and acquisitions. And all too often, we hear that as a result, our markets are not working for people, for regular people.
FTC Chair Lina Khan came to Iowa in April to listen to what farmers, including Harold, had to say about what this merger would mean for them.
My name's David Weaver, I'm a farmer. I cannot tell you how irate I was when I got my Farm Bureau spokesman, and I'm a member of Iowa Farmers Union, but I'm also a member of Farm Bureau, and it said that this plant was going to be sold to the Koch. And it was like it was good news. And it stinks. It's awful.
That plant came online in the last 10 years. That has driven competition. Losing that competition is going to hurt, particularly those of us in that southeast corner of the state, northeast corner of the other state, Missouri down there. It means something in dollars and cents in our production costs. You're the referee in the ball game. We need that. That's what you do. And so I'd encourage you to be fearless and courageous and do the right thing. Thank you.
These listening sessions are the first step in the FTC's process for deciding whether it will block the Koch purchase.
When we've done our review, if we determine that we think the acquisition violates the antitrust laws, violates the laws that say you can't do a merger if it's going to substantially lessen competition, then we have the chance to go file a lawsuit in court, explain to the court why we think the deal violates the antitrust laws, and then it's ultimately the courts that decide, should we let it go through, should we not let it go through?
There are a lot of problems with our agriculture industry, and it's going to take a lot of big swings to undo the damage of decades of unregulated consolidation. But the FTC has a real chance to make a difference here, one that could set a new precedent for how the government can keep corporate power in check and protect farmers.
A lot of people in agriculture really truly do see agriculture as a way of life. It isn't a job, it isn't a profession, it's part of what you do, it's part of how you were raised. And the idea that we are making it harder and harder for people to just be farmers and having that way of life, to me as an Iowan, as a Midwesterner, that doesn't sit right with me either.
In the scheme of the United States of the world, it's not a big deal. But for me right here in Northeast Missouri, it's a big deal. If I'm the guy drowning, it's a hell of a deal. I'd like a life jacket.
I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it. We keep allowing this shit to happen, and y'all, this has been happening for years. This consolidation of companies. That's why you don't see, we were talking about groceries earlier. Why do you think we don't see a lot of mom and pop shops around here? Why do y'all think that? Because these companies came in, these big companies came in, Walmart, Dollar General, Family Dollars, Publix, Whole Foods, all these companies come in and move the smaller competition out because they can beat their prices. They can sell for less because they have more money backing them up. And then once they move them up out of there, raise the prices back up. And you only can go to them. This is what the government is supposed to be around to prevent. But we've had politician after politician selling out the American citizen, I don't know how many years, how many decades, how many centuries. And now you have these small few companies. Look, I don't believe there should ever be $1 trillion company in the world. That's just crazy. It's crazy to me. But we got them. I think we got $1 trillion. We got a bunch of multi-billion ones. These companies control the markets. They control these markets. and it's our government officials who are letting us down. We got Ken up in the building. Miss Jackson said, when you gonna continue last night topic? I'm jump on. What we talk about last night? What I talk about last night?
The police, wasn't it?
I think. Hey, are you talking about the show from? She might be talking about the show from Friday, maybe Friday. I don't know.
Yeah. So last night you showed stuff on the police last night.
Yeah. Popo was last night, but I always gonna cover another Popo video. I always gonna cover them motherfuckers. You can't beat that shit. But I got one more video to show y'all, man. One more video. Did you have anything on that? How you feel about these farmers out here that can't even get fertilizer for a decent price so they can actually do their job?
Well, I know when it comes to black farmers, they having a lot of those issues, and especially with having to fight against the government not paying them like they should. So it's a difficult business to be in, man. You can make some good money, but then you can take some real hits. So I think it's something that's always been there. It's always been an up and down issue when it comes to agriculture.
I just be tripping. They take the tax dollars to fund these different organizations. Like they're saying now the FTC is doing their job. You see the people that in the other video don't like this lady and they want her up out of there. But we fund these organizations. If these organizations are not doing their job, why is our money going to them? Because they're supposed to be the shield in between these corporations and the American citizens. And the government should always be on the side of the American citizens. But we've had so many people sell us out, regardless of who they thinks they're going to be their Lord and Savior and bring back anything. They've been selling us out. And we're hurting for it, but then they turn around and try to blame somebody else for it. I got one more video I want to show y'all. And you said the police brutality. Oh man, I'll cover that one on the regular. That topic comes up a lot, man. So I don't know when the next time I'll cover one, but it'll probably be within the next 4 videos I do. But jobs in America, y'all. Jobs in America. Jobs in America. Who brought jobs back to America? Are jobs really brought back to America? We're going to find out about it because this is a big talking point that is a big hot button issue for this election coming up. They always talk about jobs. Well, let's see something.
I talk to a lot of very different people, and they tend to agree on one thing, that the country's headed in the wrong direction. But when I went to a forgotten corner of Tennessee to talk to workers about one of the biggest industrial projects in the country, it made me wonder if I'd landed in an alternate reality.
Have you felt this good about the future in the past? No, absolutely never. And no one else that is local has either.
Has it personally changed your life? Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yes, it did.
Before this came, it really wasn't much of no future. Walmart Super something, that was like a club.
Opportunity. It's not just knocking, it has arrived.
What's happening here doesn't feed the day-to-day news circus, so you probably haven't heard of it. But it also left me confused. At a time when life in America often feels like more of the same, in a bad way, why are workers in West Tennessee so optimistic about their jobs in the future? And why was this place, completely left behind for generations, suddenly being transformed by just about the biggest manufacturing boom imaginable? I learned about huge forces reorganizing the American economy right under our nose, and maybe how the working class can get ahead.
This is Made in America from More Perfect Union. It's our look into what the future holds for American workers. And today we're going to Blue Oval City.
When you see what's out there right now, it's going to be mind-boggling.
I met up with Will Cardenas, an organizer with LIUNA, the construction union building the mega project that's transforming Haywood County, Tennessee.
What's up, Manny? How you doing? I really want to see you guys later at 3 o'clock. What's up, brother? Come to the union meeting later?
Yeah, I'll be there about 3.
Bring some people with you.
What are we on the way to see, and how big of a deal is it?
So this is probably one of the biggest projects in the United States right now. It's the Blue Oval City project. I believe it's 108 football stadiums worth of concrete. It's about a mile long, half a mile wide.
I thought that American manufacturing was supposed to be dead, and here we are, I'm looking at one of the biggest auto mega plants being built right before my eyes. It's $5.5 billion, it's a Ford plant, it's building electric trucks and making EV batteries. It turns out that this mega plant is part of a huge shift in the way that America approaches manufacturing. Today, most of these EV batteries are made in China along with most of the other stuff we buy. But that's changing because of this law, the Inflation Reduction Act. Democrats passed it in 2022. It's an $800 billion law, and it's a departure from the free trade policies that killed our jobs here. Instead, it says we're going to build things in America again by putting a boatload of money behind clean energy, infrastructure, factories, and the people that build them. So for this project, we got a $9.2 billion loan to Ford from the Department of Energy, advanced manufacturing production credit, tax credit of $35 per kilowatt hour. But all my reading about manufacturing policy couldn't prepare me for what I was about to see at the Union Hall.
One day, you guys, I know you guys work 6-7 days. It means a lot that you guys show up. It means that you care about the union, care about the community.
Can you tell us about why you're standing here today?
Oh, because I am so fully unionized. It's so fun. And we never knew of unions and things of this nature. The kids got Invisaligns, brand new glasses, the whole 9 yards. It's awesome. It's a blessing.
How's it impacted your life?
Man, tremendously. My life completely changed, man. I got things now that I never thought I could have. One thing speaking, it's generational wealth. I'm working on that.
It's going to change the family unit because it's a big difference in making $15 an hour and making $25 an hour and making that $25 an hour with a full benefits package.
I just put the infrastructure all in, so plenty of work gonna be around here for the union. Got pensions, all this good Medicare for my kids. I mean, it's the best thing that happened.
What's the future look like, before any of this stuff happened? Can you talk about it?
Before this came, it really wasn't much no future. You got the typical gang fights and, violence going on. Everybody just like one another.
Haywood County is one of the poorest counties in Tennessee. Stanton, the tiny rural town where Blue Oval is being built, basically just has 3 businesses. I visited one of them, which is packed every day now. Brownsville, the closest city, population only 10,000, had a median income in 2021 of about $35,000 and more than a quarter of residents living below the poverty line. About 90% of the union construction workers hired for this project are local. How'd you start? How'd you get into that process?
To be honest, I got out of jail and I was like, man, I can't do this no more. Got to do something different. And I actually rode past and seen the sign. And I was like, I'm going to go try this out. Soon as I walked through the door, open arms, they welcomed me. They taught me. It's the best thing I've ever done. And I ain't going nowhere.
Do you hope that other people go through that process? Do you think they will?
Yeah, I hope they do. If they don't believe it, come see for yourself. It's going to change your life. It's going to make you a better person. You're going to work and go home and take care of your family.
I always wanted to move out of Brownsville, but now I'm here to stay.
Now we're in a position to where we have 19, 20-year-old people that are working and are thinking about their future. We never did that.
You learn so much in the union. Like I never learned politics or to even look at the newspaper or watch TV. I feel like everybody should join the union.
That's all we want. More tires out of the pot. I eat a lot of food, but I'll just take my one piece. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think this is going to spread?
Well, they hit me. I'm here. Spread even more.
You got a couple people who came because you told them?
It's one of the guys right here.
Get out. I was starting to feel like I was witnessing a political awakening at this union hall. Anything else you want to add? What else you want to make sure people know?
You got to feel the power.
These workers were organized and flexing their power, many of them for the first time in their lives. I had to come out here for a reality check. This is not supposed to be happening in Tennessee. This is a right-to-work state. They have laws that are custom designed to keep unions out and wages down. Yeah, there have been a lot of labor wins recently, but union density in America is still pretty much at record lows. Yet here we are with a bunch of workers aggressively expanding their union membership, changing people's lives, their political outlooks, and in the South, of all places.
See, that part right there I want to stop on because I want to show that chart. That chart right there, a lot of people need to pay attention to who's actually talking to you when it comes to like certain policies. Unions back in 1983, we're down 20%, over 20% when it comes to unions. Unions fight. Like, look, we live in a society right now. We live in a political landscape where we got a lot of people, even on both sides of the aisle, I will say this, that argue against people unionizing. I was talking about this earlier in another show before about down here in Alabama, they were trying to unionize one of the Amazon warehouses. And you got to see all the different propaganda from this side and that side about how unions are bad, about how unions are good. Well, one thing that I know you can take from a union that is a positive, because I know some people are like, well, the union just wants to get their dues. The union actually argues on the behalf of the worker to get you a fair wage in this bitch. Like, we gonna do this certain amount of work and y'all motherfuckers gonna pay our workers this amount of money. Then we're going to negotiate that, and we'll come back in years later to renegotiate it if we see profits and everything going up. It's where you have a company and employees working together in a somewhat fair way, kind of like NBA players and the owners of their teams or the NBA commission. We're going to negotiate this shit, and that's what a lot of Americans need. We need more Americans out here in unions. But we have so many different laws. Like you heard what he said down there in Tennessee. This is a right to work state. A lot of people don't understand what that law actually is. When they say right to work, most people think, oh, yeah, you got the right to go out there and work. No, right to work mean they can fire your ass. You can fire on site. Like, I ain't got to give you a reason to goddamn fire your ass. And majority of the benefits are in the owner's hands. Like, employees don't have a lot of rights down here in a lot of these southern states when it comes to working. So it kind of puts the owner in the advantage, and workers can't really haggle for shit. Let you start talking about a union and watch how many people start getting fired around your job. I'm just being honest with you. So this company is coming in underneath this federal act from Biden, to try to get some shit popping. We're gonna build these electric cars. We're gonna make these batteries. It's gonna revitalize that entire fucking town. You got people talking about they were gonna move out. You got dudes getting out of jail. You got the young kids supposedly actually planning and thinking about their future, trying to actually join the union and make their lives better. Do we want to see that, or do we want to see multi-billion-dollar companies get richer and richer? I would rather see the average day citizen starting to get on the come up and actually start revitalizing that so-called American dream that they say is real, instead of seeing multi-trillion-dollar motherfuckers out here. Anything? I know you went out for a second. Did you see any of that shit?
Yeah, my bad. I had to restart my phone, so I seen a little bit of it. The crazy thing about that, like, remember about a year ago when they was doing that big writers strike in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people lost money. You got some actors that was complaining about it, but at times you have to do those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people have to, like, that's what we need to do. We need to have a strike against these politicians right now. And all the bullshit that they telling us and they not doing for us and they doing for everybody else, or lying and all of that stuff, because that's the only way you get these people to wake up is when you disrupt their money.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is real important. It's real important.
Well, you goddamn right. You got him in the pocketbook, man. People don't give a fuck about you crying about. Man, look, we can see little kids get murked. People don't care. Let them lose $100. Oh, you don't see them care then. You got to hit people in their pocketbook, and that's what the American citizens need to do. That's why I'm always going to be for unions. You need to unionize all over America. That's how America got to the point that it got there in the industrial era. There was a shit ton of unions putting people to work. Come join the union. We gonna get you a job. We're going to get you a job. We're going to get you some benefits. You're going to be able to at least take care of your family, be able to live decently. And all these motherfuckers, these companies, these corporations lobby the government. That's why they give them motherfuckers so much money. A company, I'm going to keep saying it, a company should not be allowed to donate to any fucking presidential or state election. None of that shit. They should not be allowed. Now, if the CEO want to donate, by all means, do your thing. Anybody inside of the company want to donate, do your thing. But the company itself should not be allowed to donate. We already saw what that happened down there in Florida with Ron DeSantis and these insurance companies. Over $5 million, and magically that law changed. Magically, he's dismantling the goddamn insurance that the state built to help people out. Amazing. Yeah, hit him in the pocketbook. I'm with you on that one, Op.
Yet here we are with a bunch of workers aggressively expanding their union membership, changing people's lives, their political outlooks, and in the South, of all places. I asked Will how all of this was possible.
Looking out to the future, we have a lot of opportunities. The UAW, standing up, going on strike, doing what they did, it motivates people. It's like when you throw a rock in the water and the waves. People in the South, they're seeing that. Now more than ever, like him or not, President Biden has put some really good union-friendly policies and funding. To answer your question, we have more time, more opportunity now, more funding now, more ability to do the work that has to be done, right? And now it's on us to take advantage of that.
This is what it looks like when policy turns into concrete. President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is the single largest investment in clean energy projects that the U.S. government has ever made. Over 500 new or expanded clean energy manufacturing facilities have broken ground since Biden took office. Manufacturing construction has doubled over the past 2 years. Construction jobs are up 41% year over year. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's likely to be thousands of these.
We got to show that graph right there for the people that want to talk shit. Since 2018, you see the graph right here. This is manufacturing in the United States. When did Biden come into office? What year was that?
2020, wasn't it?
2020, right? Yeah. So we see Trump 2 last year's. It went up a little bit. It went up from 18 to 19. Then it dropped back down in 20. And what has it done for the last 4 years?
Looks like it went up.
It looked like it went up according to this graph now. And, we might have to fact check this graph, y'all. But for a man that's comatose, senile, and don't know where he at, for some reason, the policies seem to be going in the right direction, especially when it comes to manufacturing. Because when people see manufacturing, they need to just see jobs that are actually going to pay you a livable wage. And that's what we need. We need jobs. We need jobs for people that actually pay them something. I get tired of all these people talking about you pay $15 an hour. Man, $15 an hour need to be the goddamn minimum wage. That's what it should be. We need to stop having Americans brainwashed in a scapegoat and a caping for some goddamn billionaires. I just never understood that mindset in my life. It's like, well, if they raise their wages, they're gonna raise the price of food. They don't have to. Bitches can take a pay cut. But that ain't what we argue for. We have dumbass Americans around here that will sit around and argue for the billionaire to make billions more, instead of arguing for their neighbor to actually be able to get something. The money your neighbor get, the money you get, it helps. That's more taxes that go into your community to help build up small things. Like maybe you need roads built on. You need new roads. Okay, maybe you want a park in the neighborhood for the kids to play at. Maybe you want more police in your neighborhood. All that money that y'all bring in will help because they're going to tax you on it. And it's going to go into the community and help out everybody else. But we got people arguing for their fellow American to be poor, all in justification to protect the goddamn billionaire. That's dumb. I'm gonna let it keep going though. My bad. I need to stop ranting.
Jobs are up 41% year over year. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's likely to be thousands of these projects announced in the coming years. What we're seeing is the American economy change under our noses. And that means big changes in small towns like Stanton. Here's Stanton Mayor Alan Strabinsky.
So the first thing I did is I asked an independent engineering company, how much water and sewer capacity do I have? I'm putting in a $11.6 million water and sewer plant down here. We build a big gate valve right here. They have to have electricity. All the sewage comes up here, all over here, comes up here, and then it goes down here. This is the timeline. 700 in our houses, 2.5 people per house. We have issues with that. So what do you do for schools? A guy buys this, is going to put a hotel in. He said, I need 485,000 gallons a day. Yeah, we can't do that. I'm going to run out of capacity in about 3 years, so I need to do something different. You just keep on running as fast as you can. You outrun the freight train because here it's coming. It's coming out fast.
That's quite a list of stuff that we went over there. Stanton's population is projected to increase more than 2,000% in the next decade as Ford moves in. An entire city is being built up around this small town, and that could mean a ton of great union work.
So what happens when this job is done? Are we going to just pack up and move on, or what? Our goal is to create a new local, right? Create new leaders that look and live in these areas, right?
It's easy to forget that government does stuff that affects our lives. You don't hear about giant projects like this because when stuff goes right, it just doesn't make the news. Or if it does, it's huge numbers, facts and figures that are really hard to get your head around. And it's just a different story on the ground where people's lives are changing. I met people down here in Stanton who told me the only thing they could talk about was generational poverty. And now they're talking about generational wealth for the first time. The Biden administration's been quietly rewriting the rules of the economy with laws like the Inflation Reduction Act. And the changes that I saw down here in Stanton could be coming to a town near you. It really makes me wonder, with all of this government investment flowing into new industries, if workers organized hundreds of unions like the ones we saw down here in Stanton, what would life look like for the working class then?
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the question. If we can get more people to unionize, what do you think the economy would look like? What do you think society would look like for people in their day-to-day lives? I'm willing to bank that it'll be dramatically different. What you think, Op?
I think that I don't know, man. It's difficult. Like we need unions, but it's difficult because just like I brought up the writer strike, you can end up losing some money for a while or having to go find some other place to make some money while you're doing a strike against these companies or corporations. So I think also it takes people being financially literate because you got to make sure you're doing what you need to do with your money, and it's not just because most people in this country, majority of people in this country, we get by check to check, majority of us, and we're that like unless you go to like a private school, that'd be like the top 1%, well 10 to 1% mainly, usually 1% or whatever, 5 to 1%. They go to the private schools. They get taught about, the kids getting taught about understanding money and how to deal with it. A lot of us we don't get that. Majority of us don't get that shit. So we don't understand how you supposed to use money as a tool. You know what I'm saying? So then when we get into these places, we get in the unions and all of that, then we don't know how to, a lot of us can't just survive if it takes time. If you have to, run a strike for like a whole month or more. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, unions are needed. It's just I think that what we gotta also put into unions is the monies that we need so people can survive and get resources while that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to make unions better or whatever. But if I'm not mistaken, is it Trump or Republicans just saying they don't think unions are needed anymore?
It's the Republicans that's been against the unions for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's some bullshit, because that's like, I ain't gonna say slavery, of course, but that's just like, we gonna screw you over. You're supposed to be happy about it and just deal with it, and that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? So we need unions back, but we just gotta make sure our people can survive if we have to unionize for certain things, certain battles that we gotta fight.
Well, look, I wouldn't even worry about having the ability to survive. Like, if you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything, and everything ain't gonna be peachy and clean. But it all depends on the fights you're willing to take. Because if you're fighting for a wage, and if you want to fight for a certain type of wage, so you can actually live somewhat decent, life, because ain't nobody out here asking for these companies to make everybody rich. Just to live a decent life, like with your light bill, your rent bill, your mortgage, whatever come, you ain't worrying about how you gonna pay it. That type of lifestyle. You gonna have to. I think we just need to push. We need to push for more unions. We literally let a lot of our politicians write all this legislation to put the power, the leverage on the employer side, where pretty much it is that it puts a lot of people in that situation. Well, I better take my ass to work, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to pay my light bill. Instead of, we need to argue for what we're bringing a product to this company, and this company would not exist without the workers. These people can have all the money they want to build up these businesses, build up these corporations, on top of getting government subsidies, our tax dollars to help them build it. They can have that. But if we don't show up in this bitch, they don't have a company. And we need to be able to leverage that to argue for our own fucking wages. It's just pretty much our politicians and sold us out to these companies to allow them to consolidate wealth. And they know they're going to get a kickback from them because they're going to get campaign donations. And it's bullshit. But I was talking about a group of Americans that still have a certain belief. And I want to see. I'm going to show this last one. I said I wasn't going to show another one, but I'm going to show this last one because this is very, very important. How quickly one small thing can change the way somebody thinks about their political situation. But to that private school shit you were talking about, that's when we were having a conversation about schools with our boy Red about that. And he was talking about just break the schools down and send kids to private school and all this shit, give them a voucher and shit. No, we need to revamp our educational system, because finances is something that we should all learn in school. I think the only financial thing I learned in school was how to write a check. How many people writing checks nowadays? Fucking nobody, for real. But we need to actually start teaching these kids the things they need to go into the workforce, because some of these kids ain't going to college. Some of these kids are going straight into the workforce, or they got to go into a life of crime. So we might want to educate them, give them the skills that they need to actually prepare them for life. This shit should not be to just indoctrinate them on, oh, these are great people that built the country. Fuck all that. That's fine and dandy. You want to keep telling them that lie. But also give them the skills and the knowledge to go into the workforce and actually be a productive person so they can actually contribute to society. I don't understand the mindset of setting kids up for failure and then complaining about why the society is the way it is. If you're not trying to build them up, then what you expect them to do? The places you see the most crime is where you have the least educated and well, I ain't gonna say the least educated, but yeah, you have a big population of the least educated, and there's a lot of poverty around. You gotta invest in your people. But here, let me show this last one. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
But real quick, I want to say something real quick to something you said. But don't forget, the biggest reason why people give up, sell out, is because of money and resources, the lack thereof. So that's the only way we can really incentivize people. Like they say the same thing with hip hop. We need a union. But if you ain't got resources and money, people gonna be like, fuck you. So we do need that in those unions. So if people go on strikes and stuff to make it actually worth it, the way that the unions will work against corporations is they'll see like, well, shit, these motherfuckers can keep going because they taking care of each other. That'll make companies look at the unions differently. Because a lot of these companies, they got money, lawyers, and all that. Them big bank lawyers, they be like, we just gonna make these motherfuckers go ahead and be struggling. Sooner or later, they're gonna bring their ass back to work. That's how they try to break unions down. Just like if you go to court and you ain't got money to pay for a lawyer to fight the feds or something like that, they try to drain your resources. So I think that would make unions a lot better, and people would fuck with it again if you made sure. Because like with the writers' strike in Hollywood, you seen all these actors crying and shit. It was like y'all didn't have nobody tell y'all to do YouTube. I forget the one gay black dude that was on that show Pose or something he was on. He crying, he broke and all that, and there was other actors I seen crying about being broke. I'm like, just start a YouTube channel or whatever. You'll make some money to hold you over to the end. They weren't even telling these people how to get money while they was waiting for the strike to go out. So I think that's another thing we got to do. That's why I brought up the schools and teaching education about money and stuff like that. Like I'm telling you, that's the only way this shit'll work. People gotta have money. Gotta survive.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to have money to survive, and yeah, it's gonna be a waiting game. It's gonna be a waiting game, but sometimes you're just gonna have to do. Look, my point is, I agree with that, but sometimes you're gonna have to just bite that fucking bullet. It's been many times I don't want to get people in my company to be like, hey, look, man, them motherfuckers ain't trying to get y'all no real rent, man. Just walk the fuck about this bitch. Walk the fuck about this bitch. We gonna have to bite the bullet for like, regardless to get anything. We gonna have to go through some hard times. Like you got to crack a couple eggs to make an omelet. But the union, I don't think the union will be the one that's going to be facilitating the money. Like you got to even get a union first. We got to break down these policies first to even get unions back like they used to be, because you saw the drop on that chart. That's a dramatic drop. Like majority of jobs were goddamn unions, and now they're barely existing. So I think we got to change the legislation or get the legislation changed where we got to push out all that anti-union shit to actually allow this shit to even happen, because man, people gonna work. That's one thing I notice about a lot of people. If they know they gotta survive, they gonna do something. They gonna do something to get ends meet. And hopefully they had a job and not, robbing Walmart or some shit. Just hoping. But we don't never know how that might go. But let me show you this last one. We're gonna show this last one. Anybody want to hit the link. But we're gonna be up out of here after this last one right here. Check it out. Here we go, y'all.
Have you ever met an open socialist before and sat and talked with them on a porch?
No, you're not yet. You.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Sometimes politics is a lot less straightforward than we're led to believe, especially in a place like this. Elliott County looks like any other part of rural Kentucky, but it's not. In fact, it might have the weirdest politics of any place in the country. That's because Elliott County voted for Democrats in every presidential election for 144 years straight. FDR, Truman, JFK, LBJ, Carter, Clinton, Obama, and then in 2016, vote for Donald Trump?
Yep.
2020?
Yep.
2024?
Yep. Definitely.
The single largest swing from Obama to Trump happened right here. But a few years later, something just as surprising happened. Elliott County voted for Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat. So what's the deal with Elliott County? Is it just an outlier? Or is there something deeper going on here? Something with implications that could reach far beyond Eastern Kentucky. Did you hear that? Is that on camera?
Here's one. You might recognize what's going on. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. If you told me you paid me $100,000 to tell you what's going on here, I would be broke.
Yeah.
That guy is Donnie. He runs a Big Four store in Elliott County. Here you'll find union stickers, Trump shirts, and a rare collection of fine art made by Donnie himself. So how many generations are you in Elliott County, and who's this?
That's my dad. He built the house in 1950, and that's the house I got now. I've been here all my life, hard pipe fitter, been in the store business for 24 years. I mean, some of the best people you meet around here.
Elliott is home to some 7,000 people, 99% white. Aside from a few churches, a gas station, and a prison, there's not a whole lot here. But it is known for one thing. This county, it's the only one in the country that has voted 144 years straight for Democrats. And then it flipped 45 points to Trump. Only county in America that did that. How do you explain that? Why did such a radical shift happen? What's your understanding of that?
Well, I don't care what, if I was a coon hunter and I bought a dog and I sell coon hides and my dog won't fear a coon, I'm going to get me another one. Same way with these two guys. Biden ain't done nothing for me, and I'm going to switch to a new dog.
What do you think of George W. Bush?
Piece of shit. I started out a Democrat because my father was. Never did something. It's just like your last name. You're a Democrat.
Growing up, I was always taught you got to vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat.
What did it mean to be a Democrat? Was it connected to anything?
That is just how the county went. The Democrats was giving money for the county, and we were trying to get roads fixed, trying to, make this county something.
Yeah.
And that's who was helping us.
When a county...
Right, y'all check that now. So when people always try to say black people over here just vote Democrat because they told to, they're not the only ones, if that is true. Because I was never told by my family to vote Democrat. But that lady just admitted that's what you were told to do. That's what everybody in the county did. And the main reason that they did it was because they were looking out for them. We're going to figure out what changed. Because that's what it always comes down to. Like, you know how they always talk about we asking for a handout all the time. You vote for people that are going to do something for you. Or am I off on that one a little bit? Help me out. All right, Op ain't there, y'all. I thought he was going to help me out, but he ain't there right now. We're going to keep going.
County votes for one party for 144 years straight. It can be hard to know where that kind of loyalty even comes from. Some folks say that FDR's New Deal had something to do with it. The New Deal put millions to work building roads and schools and bridges, created Social Security, and established by law the right to form a union. And for decades, it cemented the idea that Democrats were a party for the working class.
Democrats were looked at for the poor people. Yep, they were for the poor people.
Great-great-grandparents were Democrats, and just taught through the years from FDR on. They believed that was the union support, and it has somewhat changed in this area in the last few election cycles, if you will.
Yeah.
It's changed drastically, honestly.
As recently as the mid-90s, Kentucky was a Democratic stronghold. Democrats controlled the state house, the governor's mansion, and the majority of congressional seats. But eventually, things began to shift. The party of workers and unions became champions of free trade and Wall Street. Democrats stopped chasing blue-collar voters in rural areas and shifted their attention to white-collar voters in the suburbs. And that left a vacuum that Republicans, who supported basically the same corporate agenda, were happy to fill. By 2012, Elliott County was the...
Think about that slick shit he threw in there. Make sure you pay attention. When the Democrats started trying to go for the suburban people, what did the Republicans swoop in, right? What was the difference between their agendas? I'm gonna let them say it again. I can't say I voted Democrat because they look out for me. Well, they make promises, and the other side always makes me feel like they're gonna wear sheets with holes in them. But now I know both sides do this. I've been saying it for years. But watch what he said. Watch what he said. What policies? What policies?
A vacuum that Republicans, who supported basically the same corporate agenda, were happy to fill.
So when they say the Democrats are the party of the corporate America, there's been a shift now, but that's always been Republicans. At least since FDR, you can at least go back that far. They've been for corporations, and you see who they fight for the most. But you see, Democrats do that shit too. Two sides of the same damn coin.
By 2012, Elliott County was the last rural county to vote for a Democrat in a presidential election, not just in Kentucky, but across all majority white counties in the South. Then, 2016 rolled around.
Sadly, the American dream is dead. Bring it back. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
I think a lot of it is that we're tired. I'm not saying that Donald Trump's not crooked. I'm not saying Joe Biden's not crooked. They're all crooked.
Yeah.
But, whenever we get an extra $30 or something in our paychecks, that makes a difference. I'm doing hay to try to feed the kids. I'm doing everything that I can know to do as, not only a parent, but as a person,
Is that getting harder?
It's getting harder.
It's getting harder as time goes on.
Yes.
How much opportunity is there for kids that are born in this county? And do most of them come back and live here?
Most of them, there's nothing here to do.
Everything good come to Elliott County has been with a union job. You go away somewhere to work, drive 2 hours, come home, hoping to retire before you got hurt or crippled. That's the only people that have done well here.
Like the rest of the country, Elliott County has seen a dramatic decline in unions, which went hand in hand with stagnating wages. At the end of the 80s, the median household income in Elliott sat at $37,000 adjusting for inflation. Today, it's about $39,000.
Y'all, if y'all don't see how crazy that is right there, in 1989, y'all, I ain't gonna tell you why that year is significant, but in 1989, why did I go so far? Hey, hold up.
Cost of living has only gone up.
Even
They haven't seen a raise in over 30 years, while the cost of living has only gone up $37,000 adjusting for
$37,000 in 1989. And what was it in 2022?
inflation. Today, it's about $39,000.
$2,000 increase from 1989. Y'all, that's way over 20-some years. $2,000 increase. And y'all heard him say, the unions went away. Once again, the workers not having somebody to argue on their behalf. You having to just go out there and work for whatever you can get. Stop. Cat over here going crazy. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy.
In other words, they haven't seen a raise in over 30 years, while the cost of living has only gone up.
even after 140 years of voting for Democrats, we have lived not in poverty, not near the poverty line, in extreme poverty.
The poverty level being so hard, it was like, does he have a rope to throw us? And that's what it was.
Trump wasn't getting votes from New York City and LA and all these big towns. He's getting votes from these little counties all across America. Yeah, I think it's his anger, and everybody else in this country is angry. His anger filled his campaign, and it was like, oh, I felt this for such a long time. Someone's relating to me.
We hear this phrase, why do people vote against their interests? Listen, it makes me mad because that's telling us we're dumb, and we're not.
Andy Beshear is the governor of Kentucky. In 2019 and in 2023, Beshear pulled off something most people thought was impossible. He won as a Democrat in Trump country.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. Take a look here.
Both times he won Elliott County.
I certainly think, at least for me, winning Elliott County was about waking up every day focused on the same issues that Kentuckians wake up and worry about. It's not the outrage of the day in Washington, D.C. It's things like, do I have a good job, one where I can afford to raise my family? Who is moving my life forward?
Beshear won partly by distancing himself from the National Democratic brand, which has become toxic in Kentucky. But he's not a moderate either. He ran as a pro-union candidate, campaigned on raising teacher pay, and implementing universal pre-K. And like many folks in Elliott County, Beshear traces his political roots back to the New Deal.
FDR showed up, and he produced. And my grandparents met on a WPA project. They were Democrats their entire life, and FDR was a major reason why.
That approach has informed the way he's governed.
Kentucky is one of the only southern states that has seen growth in union membership each of the last 2 years, and it is significant. I mean, we're building the two biggest battery plants on planet Earth. They're being built by organized labor.
These projects were possible in part thanks to trillions of dollars in investments that passed under Joe Biden. But the jobs are a 3-hour drive from Elliott County, so it's unclear if those investments will translate to votes.
Did Governor Beshear earn your vote?
Yes, he did.
Did Joe Biden earn your vote?
No. The way President Trump ran the United States from a Kentuckian's perspective felt better to me than the way President Biden has run the United States. I don't really know how to dive into that any deeper. It's a perception. It's odd that I'm torn here because I support Governor Beshear every day. Governor Beshear has been great for this state.
Beshear.
You heard the word that he used. He said it's a perception, not a reality. Let him say it again. It's a perception, not a reality, y'all.
I don't really know how to dive into that any deeper. It's a perception. It's odd that
this is why media is so important, y'all. This is why media is so important, because if somebody gets hammered a lie so much, they won't believe something to be true. Like when they hear the truth, they're not gonna believe it. Fuck. They're not gonna believe it. And his perception made him not vote for Joe. But he voted for the Democratic, man, it's got some net, man, gotta die. All right, don't mind me, y'all. But he voted for the governor, Beshear. He is not able to actually realize some of the policies that the old man put in place. And I'm not here to rave and rant for goddamn Joe Biden or nothing like that, because I don't like his ass. But he's not able to actually see the policies that he's put in place, the actual benefits that he can get from it, because the jobs that he could possibly work 3 hours away. We just saw that one plant. The people that live in that town where that plant's getting built, oh, they happy. They got a union, they working, they're gonna be able to take care of their families. The problem is stretching these policies all the way across America so everybody can benefit from it. But when some people don't get it and they listen to certain types of media, it warps their mind. Their perception is nothing's different from me. But what changed? That's the question I would ask him if I was an interviewer. Well, what was different under Trump? And I'm pretty sure he said a feeling. A feeling ain't changed what money's in your bank account. And that's the crazy part. I see a lot of people voting for people off of the way they feel about something. Like, don't go vote for Kamala just because you feel happy that a woman that tends to be black might be the president. Like, no, what are you going to get out of it? That's what you need to look at. What are your fellow Americans going to get out of it? That's what we should be looking at. Not no feelings and no perceptions. What's the reality?
That I'm torn here because I support Governor Beshear every day. Governor Beshear has been great for this state.
Beshear has shown that Democrats can win in Elliott County, but he still isn't putting up numbers like Trump. No one is. What's it take to earn the vote in Elliott County, and how do you think Democrats win it back?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I can't answer that, and it's going to be lopsided again. People around here don't really feel what happens in D.C. affects them that much. I mean, they never feel it personally, other than we go to the gas pump and it's $3.33 or $3.35 or whatever it is. We're only seeing that, and so many people, you know, they want somebody to blame, I think.
All of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they are destroying your Social Security and your Medicare.
Fear is at the heart of Trump's politics, and few issues bring up more fear than the southern border. Where's the border rank for you in the list of political issues that matter?
1.
It's number 1?
Yes.
How long have you felt the way that you do about the border?
Probably in the last 2 years. The way they're letting them come in, and it's like there's got to be a stop to it somewhere.
Why do you think so many people are coming up across the border?
Well, it has to be, they got to be a hell of a spot down there. I mean, I can understand what's going on. They just want something bad.
What are those forces that are keeping us on the road, whether you're coming from Kentucky or Honduras? Why are people moving around?
Feed their family. It's not here. That's what broke up community too, because you had to move away from your family. You got brothers you haven't seen in 10 years because they're stuck in Michigan on an hourly job.
They're leaving horrible conditions to come here. I get it.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
But there has to be a right way of doing it. Where is our funding for those people? Why are we not putting it back into our Social Security, into our veterans?
Why aren't we doing that?
You tell me. You're the leftist.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing right there. That's the beauty of certain people in politics. They make somebody your enemy instead of actually noticing that the person that's talking to you, telling you is them over there. They're the reason why you ain't got shit, because they're choosing not to invest in your people. They're choosing not to invest in your county, your city, your state. They're choosing not to. They're choosing to take that money and use it for other things. But we can tell you all the way in Kentucky, it's them damn immigrants coming across the Texas border. Trying to even get to Texas in a day, driving from Kentucky. But it's them. They're your fault. And you understand why a lot of these people are coming. They're coming for opportunity. They're coming to try to take care of their family. But you're not focusing your energy on the politicians that are shaping the laws and the rules for why you're not getting any investment. There's no opportunity in your neighborhood. There's no opportunity in your cities. Just point out the other side. And that's one big thing that I don't like about what they do, especially on the right. They always try to fearmonger motherfuckers into voting for something. Now, they're not telling you I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to stop from happening. But that don't mean I'm going to do nothing for you. Yeah, I'm going to get them illegals out of here. Had 4 years, couldn't get them out. But don't get them illegals out for you.
So one of the things that I am always thinking about too is people who are in that situation, or working people who don't have the luxury to not go to work.
Mm-hmm.
They'll look around at other working people and say, I can't get by because of what you're doing or something. And meanwhile, in the background, we're adding more billionaires year after year after year. These people having not just $1 billion, but 10 and 20 or $200 billion. Where do they fit into this situation where somebody who's cutting hay in 90-degree weather to feed the kids, where do the billionaires fit into that equation?
Good luck to them. I'm glad that they have it. But how many people do they hurt to get it? And 9 times out of 10, they're high in a political world.
Yeah.
And they're using government funds and what they know on the insider to make that money.
You said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. When I need something from them 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me. And that's a broken system.
When it's people coming across the border versus, say, billionaires or something like that, who's got the most influence over the problems that you think we face as a country?
Millionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is that not your number one fucking focus? And that's what I always try to get across. If you know this, why is that not where your energy is directed? So that means you need to address your politicians with this shit. But they get you to demonize another group of people. Their governments are fucked up. Their countries are fucked up. Just like if your town was fucked up, you're going to travel 3 hours to go get it. Now, I know some people say, well, I'm not breaking the law of blah, 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 this and blah, blah. I don't give a fuck about that. People going to go where opportunity is regardless. It don't matter. If somebody need to feed their kids, they are still to feed their kids. Don't nobody care about that law you talking about. And people need to understand that. Acts of desperation, people going to do what they got to do. So aim your gun at the person, not literally, y'all, but point at the target that's actually causing you the problems. Point at the one that's actually got you in the situation that you're in. At least the one that's playing a big part of why you're in the situation you're in, because you play a big part in your own. But don't try to just turn and try to demonize somebody else. Now I'm all for locking the border down and getting this shit right. But goddamn, I still, at the same time, need these motherfuckers to change these laws where we can actually live the American dream, not just talk about some bullshit that don't exist no more. Hold these motherfuckers in power accountable. Get these companies in check. We've been going through all these different industries. So, lady, if you know it, you need to focus your energy the right way. Tell me, I'm just going to vote for Trump because of that. No. Or I'm just going to vote for Hillary. Biden or fucking whoever the fuck else, Kamala and all them for that. No. You need to check these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Do you think you have more in common with a migrant from Mexico or Donald J. Trump?
Great question.
A migrant from Mexico.
Yeah.
A migrant from Mexico. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're out here working to survive to feed our families.
There are a lot of theories about why a place like this would go for a billionaire like Trump. Maybe it's because Trump said the quiet part out loud. The politicians in both parties had abandoned the working class. Maybe he gave them someone to blame for their problems. Immigrants, queer kids, radical socialists. But here's another theory. They voted for Trump because both parties felt captured, caught up in a system that no one here could influence.
In their mind, they thought Trump was going to save us. He's not a politician. He's going to be a little bit different. It was completely a lie. We're just in such a dire need for things to get better that they're grasping at any straw that they can reach for.
Andy Beshear offered one alternative, an old school approach that reaches for what the Democratic Party used to be, a party that stood with the working class in small towns and in big cities. But Beshear is fighting an uphill battle. Even in a county that voted blue for 144 years, Trump is still winning by huge margins. How do you compete with that? Maybe the answer is to do something that Trump would never do. Unite the working class by taking on the biggest threat we face.
I just don't like the big guy because the big guy's screwing you probably, or you want to be the big guy. You know what I'm saying?
If we keep fighting amongst ourselves, that makes it easier for politicians to get a hold of you.
Well, how do we get to a situation where the working class is united around common interests? Do you think that's possible?
I would love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you could get the working class to stick together, maybe it would make a difference. It'd have to.
And that's where I wanted to end off tonight, y'all. I wanted to end off on that. Uncanny said, I ran across the highway in Houston. I would run back across it if it been feeding my daughter. And you goddamn right. You goddamn right. What they said at the last part, at the very end of that video, is what it is, man. It's what it is. And it's going to take people to actually wake up, put their hateful ass feelings to the side and really focus on what's the reason. What is the reason why you are not getting what you need from your government? Once again, I'm going to keep saying it. Put it on a t-shirt. Ask not what I can do for my country. Ask what my country can do for me. That's what we need to be saying. Fuck all that old shit. Fuck all that old shit. That ain't it no more. Our government has sold us out. Both fucking parties have done it. Ain't none of their hands clean. None of their hands clean on this. But they got us down here. And that's why I keep saying a lot of people need to read the book Divide and Conquer. They got us down here arguing with each other over bullshit, trying to blame somebody else for our fucking problems when it's the motherfuckers at the top that keep racking up money. Wealth inequality is rising. It's been rising for a long time in this country. Rising, and it's not slowing down. It's because our elected officials allow the shit to go. Keep going on. They sold us out to these corporations. These corporations are consolidating. We talked about it. The insurance companies, fucking people over that's been paying them for 20-some years, 30-some years, never even fucking had to call out, never had to file a policy. Been paying them money. First time they got to file one. Yep, we're gonna fight you on it to not do it. Even if we do it, after we do it, we're gonna kick you off this policy because we took your money for 25 years, but we ain't want to pay no $6,000 to fix your roof. So yeah, you can get up out of here. That shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't be allowed. The food industry. Think about it. The food industry. We're allowing these people to price gouge the shit out of us. During the time where Americans are literally living paycheck to paycheck, a lot of people are homeless nowadays. All the way to housing. People can't afford this shit. Majority of Americans cannot afford their rent. They really can't. Let something happen. They're going to be on the street. But we want to keep on propping up the people that are benefiting the most in society while the vast majority of Americans are getting fucked. All to blame some immigrants or blame some black people, blame some country white folks, blame whoever the fuck, blame anybody besides the people that should be blamed. Number one, it starts with our politicians. Next, it goes to the corporations. And the reason I say it in that order is because the politicians allow it. So we need to be a little bit more mindful about when we voting for people, because we need to be asking the question, and don't let nobody gaslight you talking about you want a handout. We need to ask these people, what are you going to do for us? And I need that guaranteed. And if you don't do it, you're done. One term, you're out. Americans need to be on that. Everybody else is asking for a fucking handout. Everybody is asking for them to do something for them. All these billionaires are getting more of the handouts than anybody else, but we sit around here and argue and bicker amongst each other like some little schoolgirls. Nah, we got to be better than that, y'all. We have to be better than that. We need to get our eye on the prize and stop worrying about this little bullshit along the road. We going here. Don't worry about what the fuck is on the way. Worry about what we trying to get to. But look, y'all, that's all I got, man. I'm hoping that covering some of these topics help shape somebody's thought process on the shit. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm not telling you what to do. But I'm hoping to enlighten you a little bit to help you understand what actually is going on around you. Don't let these people keep lying to you. Stop letting them lie to you. Both of them do the same bullshit. Trump ain't finna save you. We don't know what Kamala gonna do. They showed a little bit of shit that Joe did, but we know the Democrats sold out the Democratic Party for these corporations just like the Republicans had already been doing. We need more unions. We need our education system to be better. We need to fund that shit. We need to stop fucking going and putting all our money to people like Ukraine and goddamn Israel and funding all these goddamn secret wars in Africa and South America. We need to focus on the American citizens. Fuck Boeing, fuck goddamn Lockheed Martin, fuck all them motherfuckers. That's our money that they take without us asking for, without us saying we agree for you to take it. We better at least get something back for it. And I ain't talking about no income tax at the end of the goddamn year. I ain't talking about no income tax at the end of the year. We need better roads. We need better schools. We need jobs that actually pay us enough to goddamn take care of our fucking family. Like, for real. I hope y'all get on the same train I'm on. I hope y'all get on the same mindset, because I ain't with it, man. I'll be on the same shit till the cows come home. People tell me I'm crazy all goddamn day, but I know when somebody pissing on me and telling me it's rain. I just don't believe them like everybody else do. But look, man, it's been fun. It's been great. Tomorrow we got Out for the Norm 18 doing this show. I don't know what the topic is. He will surprise y'all, I guess, because I will be surprised too. But we're going to grind it out. We're going to keep doing it, man. Turn the noties on, man. Tell your people that you know like to watch this type of content. Tell them to come over and subscribe. Hit the like button for everybody. Turn notifications on. You got to turn them things on. You might not know when we post them, but I will guarantee you, if you was watching over on Let's Talk with JVJ, I'm going to be posting over here the exact same way. So that's pretty much every goddamn day. So y'all fuck with your boy, and we're going to get up out of here. I'll catch y'all in the next one as always, man. And we're going to get a new intro, outro. I got to make that over the weekend, but you get in a little bit. Peace.
Don't tell me about me. Stop telling 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 me about me.